Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the regular meeting of the Englewood Cliffs Mayor and Council. Today is October 10th, 2018. It's 8:15 p.m. I call this meeting to order. I welcome everybody who's here, and I apologize that we ran over time in our caucus meeting. We're going to try to catch up here. Madam Clerk, may I please have a roll call?
Just one. Okay, go ahead. I have to say something about closed for the record. Let me do it right now. Members of the public, on our regular agenda, at the end, under old business, new business, Rice hearing at Chief Chiappi, usually he chooses to have it in open session. This time he chose to have the Rice hearing in closed session, and we already held that. So there will be no Rice hearing with Chief Chiappi in public tonight. So that is removed from that agenda. We did it in closed session.
Okay, for members of the public, there are a few seats open here on the right and also on the left. We'll do a roll call.
Mayor Kranjak?
Here.
Councilperson Zaversa?
President?
E. Park?
Yes.
O.
Here.
M. Park?
Here.
Wu?
Here.
Borough Attorney?
Present.
Borough Administrator? And Borough Clerk. Everyone's present, Mayor.
Thank you. Please all rise for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for a few moments of silence. There was a police officer in South Carolina who died last week in a violent death. Lee Magnus passed away. He's a member of our business community, part of the Wendy's restaurant system. He's a great guy. I've met him a few times. And also from Mary O'Shea's cousin, Howard Schuster. Thank you. I want to also take this opportunity to express my sincere gratitude to now former Councilwoman Carol McMorrow, who is also our former council president. Carol worked tirelessly for the community. She did a great job. She did it for everyone and not for one party or the other. It was a valiant effort on her part, and many of the things that you're enjoying today in terms of recreation department events, community night out, the 5K, better recreation programs, these are all attributable to Carol and her hard work. She's been helping us with COA and affordable housing work that litigations that we're working on right now as well. So I express my sincere gratitude to you, Carol. Thank you very much. Okay, also want to mention that this is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Please remember those who are afflicted with this terrible disease, and if you can do anything to support monetarily or otherwise the organizations that are involved in that that charity, please do so. Madam Clerk, I need the open public meeting statement.
Adequate notice of this meeting was given to the press and posted as required. Date and time of this meeting was legally given as required by the Open Public Meetings Act. This notice is on file with the municipal clerk and posted on the bulletin board. Minutes of this meeting will be made available to the public upon the completion of typing and proofreading by the municipal clerk.
I make a motion to carry resolution number 206.
We're not doing that now. We're not at that. Hold on.
Until the scheduled special meeting.
You're out of order. You're out of order. The next thing on the agenda is the borough charity event. The next thing on the agenda...
We're not out of order.
The next thing on...
Robert's rule, we have a second on the floor.
I don't recognize you because you are out of order.
I don't need to be recognized, Mayor.
You do.
No,
You
I
do.
do not.
I am the chairman.
I do not.
Okay, well, hold on a second. Let me say this. We follow Robert's rules. We all voted on that back in January at the reorg meeting. Robert's rules make the mayor the chairman of the meeting. I am the mayor. I am the chairman of this meeting. If you want to be recognized, you need to be recognized by me, and I do not recognize you because you did not make that order properly. And therefore, I am going to speak to the next item on the agenda. The next item on the agenda...
That's not what the Roberts
The
rule
next-
says.
yes.
We have a second on the floor, and we should take a roll call.
No, it's not happening right now.
It's happening right
So,
now.
folks, I want to thank everyone who donated
You know
to the
what?
breast cancer, for the...
No, we're taking a roll call. There's a motion on the floor, and there's a second.
You're out of order, you're not on the agenda, you're not even in the right section.
Anne Marie, I'm not surprised that you're giving your legal opinion.
Right, because this has happened before, where...
Many times.
Where
Okay,
Councilman
so-
Wu had jumped in right after.
Okay.
So now you're trying to say...
Yes.
Are you finished?
You want your way, and the mayor runs the meeting, sorry.
We're taking the motion.
We're taking the roll
Yeah,
call.
we're taking the roll call.
You're not taking the roll call.
There's a motion on the floor.
And
We're
there's
taking-
a
No
second.
motion. You asked for recognition, and I'm not recognizing you now.
No, I did not ask for recognition. I made a motion,
No,
and
that's the problem.
there's a second.
I am the chair of the meeting, and we follow Robert's rules. And I'm sorry, and I'm sure somebody's gonna make a videotape of me saying this, but
What do you mean?
I am in charge of the meeting. Somebody has to be in charge. I'm the mayor, I'm in charge. I don't recognize you right now because, quite frankly, I want to speak about the Borough Charity Project, which is the Office of Concerned Food Pantry. We collect money. Stop.
We're taking a roll call.
We collect money. No.
We're taking a roll call.
We collect food products, non-perishable food products, every month at our meeting. There's a drop box out front.
There's a
There's a
motion.
drop box out front, and I want to just say
We're
that
taking a roll call. You can that.
you have to wait.
No.
You have to wait.
You don't know Robert's rule.
I don't know Robert's
You
rules.
don't, because I don't have to be recognized.
You do have to be
There's a motion, there's a second, and I take a roll.
You-
It's happened before. It's happened before, when Councilman Wu made a motion, and Councilman Park made a second.
I recognize
Right.
them. I don't
You
recognize
did that, was not the case.
I am the chair of this meeting. I
We
do
can
not
look at the
recognize
video
you.
again, but that was definitely not the case.
Okay.
So,
What we could do
you
is...
know what, I advise the,
I'm not going to do this,
take a roll
you know.
call. Take a roll call. There's a second on the...
We're going to go into recess. We're recessing. Okay. Enough of the show. We're recessing.
Go ahead, take a recess.
To raise your voice on such a matter. We have to be respectful of each other.
Right,
And stop interrupting people when they're speaking. And if you're unable to do that, you need to rethink your role. Yeah. Okay. So what I wanted to do was to thank everybody for donating.
No, take a roll.
I wanted to thank everyone who donated to the...
You know, we have to call somebody. I think we have to call DGRS or somebody to say that this is really inappropriate. I've had all right?
Well, why don't you leave the dais and go make your phone call?
Maybe I should.
Go ahead.
Call somebody.
Go
because
call
we do
somebody.
this all the time.
Go call somebody,
We are
Ellen.
never recognized on this side, ever. It is totally true. That's why we have to raise our voice.
told you that you have to say, give him a chance.
All right,
Give
so...
the mayor a chance. You're gonna have your say.
Really?
Will you recognize the
Really?
councilwoman?
So
Okay,
you're-
you heard everybody say
So,
that. We'll have-
unfortunately, I apologize to the children out there. I apologize to the children out there who have heard the adults behaving poorly. Are you proud of yourself?
Actually, my children were here when you were acting poorly, so yes.
It's always 1-2 with you, but this is not the case here. I thank everyone. I'm going to keep trying to do this. I thank everyone who's donated to the food pantry. It's a great effort. It's a great charity. Now, we're out of
Yeah,
recess.
he's gonna do the same
He's
thing.
going to do the same thing under the resolution.
So we had correspondence from Eric Bernstein.
You know what,
and
if you
associates.
don't recognize us and take a roll call, we may just have to leave.
Yeah.
Do it.
We won't have a quorum.
All right. Folks,
Take a roll call. Take a roll call.
this is not audience participation time, folks. Thank you. We're going to do that later, okay? I see our illustrious police officers here. Thank you for coming here tonight. Look, we have correspondence from Eric Bernstein and Associates. It's privileged and confidential. We had the borough... excuse me.
Taking a roll call. There's a motion on, I can't believe this, that this is happening time and time again.
Well, that's because I'm sitting here as mayor.
I've been here that long.
All right.
Only here, what?
Exactly, 2 years, and you know how many times he's never recognized me? Never. He doesn't recognize me.
That's not true. Folks, anyone who's in order, I appreciate. Anyone who's out of order, you need to stop behaving that way.
We need to take a recess.
All right, you guys go ahead. We're not recessing. We continue.
This is unbelievable. Really,
Are you staying or leaving? What are you doing?
right?
Are you staying or
We want to
leaving?
take a recess.
Go ahead, go take,
5 minutes.
go to recess.
There's a roll call, there's a motion on the table,
There's no motion on the table.
because...
There's no motion on the table.
We didn't even hear what you were saying.
Okay, so repeat yourself.
Respectfully, so we had a Borough 5K run and walk. It was in September, it was a hot day, and again, Carol McMorrow, William Wu, Don Yu organized this, and I think Mark Park was involved also in some capacity. I actually ran it, so I had the best part of it. It was a lot of fun, and I didn't win, but I did okay. I want to thank all the spectators who came to the start line and to the finish line. And I also really appreciate seeing people come out of their homes and standing on their front lawns and cheering the runners on. It was a lot of fun, and I encourage everyone, next year, it's in September, maybe we could pick a later day, maybe it'll be a little cooler, to do it. So, it's a lot of fun. Mr. Liberty, provided music and entertainment. He did a great job, and I'm always very appreciative of everything he does as well for our community. And that's the real part of our community, is having great events and not the screaming matches that you see up here, which are unfortunate, and we need to do a little work on those in terms of respecting what we're doing. Last week, our police department had coffee with a cop. They had an event that TD, Mr. DiGregorio, could you turn off your ringer, take your phone call outside, please? We had, the community was invited to coffee with a police officer. They call it coffee with a cop, and it was very nice. I stopped by, and although it's kind of interesting watching people's faces walking to a bank when there's 5 police officers standing in the lobby. Everyone kind of like wonders if they should stay or not. So it was good job, guys. And finally, I want to do what I call setting the record straight, because there's so much talk out there, and there's a lot of misinformation, and there's some press here as well, Korean and also the Record. I see some others. So as many of you know, when I became mayor, I not only replaced the father and son mayor team that ran this town for 42 years, but I also inherited a staff hired by my predecessors. I am reminded every day why a 42-year run by 2 people damages our democracy and promotes corruption. While I am surprised with the actions, you can leave if you can't sit there in silence. You can, actually. You will be removed. There's plenty of police officers here. I know they're going to do their jobs. Okay, no yelling from the crowd. I will recognize you later when you raise your hand like everybody else. You're not special right now, okay? So while I am surprised with the actions of some of our employees and inactions by others, I am glad that I made a decision on my first day as mayor to never take any meetings with any employees alone, because I knew this would be a challenge, and it has been a challenge. I always promised to treat everyone fairly, and I did. Asking, Mr. DiGregorio, you have one more strike and then you're going to get out. Asking a police officer, or police chief to get his department's overtime under control, or to enforce the sick day policy, are really just fair requests from a mayor, despite what the chief's attorneys are crying about daily. I repeatedly ask our borough employees to come to work, do their jobs, and leave politics outside of the workplace. It was a prescient request, and clearly lost on some of the senior leadership of the Englewood Cliffs Police Department. I always support police, I always have support police, and I always will continue to support police. But I will not support police who are not good, fair, and just. We are working on that, and I want to make sure that the careers of our other officers are safeguarded. I also wanted to be treated fairly by them. It was a two-way street I envisioned. I was not treated fairly. I was sued for doing my job about 10 times. Many cases have been dismissed. We have now listened to the chief discuss with senior officers to target me, to follow me, and in one recording, he even contemplates bringing outsiders to take care of me. This is America. I don't know where our chief thinks he lives, but this is America. This is our police chief and not a street gang member, but this is the way he recorded himself, and some of you guys. Putting all that aside, the most vile and disgusting recordings by the chief were reserved for women in our Asian American communities. Early on in my tenure, I suspected that some borough employees were working against me and undermining my efforts to make Englewood Cliffs a better town. In fact, I still want it to be the best town in New Jersey. Many of my suspicions were very difficult to prove, until the chief of police did that for me. While I will not comment on the chief's mental state, intelligence, or fitness for duty, the chief surreptitiously recorded himself and other borough employees, including police, participating in various schemes. You can draw your own conclusions as to fitness. We have a zero tolerance for workplace violence, racism, and sexism in Englewood Cliffs. Zero tolerance. On those recordings, which, by the way, were made on the borough's recorder, and the recorder still hasn't been returned by the chief, we hear, one, the chief contemplate killing a then-elected official, Carol McMorrow. The chief participating in a discussion where Captain Murphy refers to Mark Park as a boardwalk clown whose mouth you shoot water into. We hear the chief participating in a discussion with police officers, creating disparaging rhymes with Councilman Rue's name and former Councilman Liang's name. These are anti-Asian comments. We hear the chief participating in very juvenile but racist ape sounds while others are talking in other racist tones. So we have ape sounds. We hear the chief ordering police officers to follow the mayor when the mayor drives around town. We hear discussion by the chief and some Englewood Cliffs Police Department leadership to steal overtime and cover it up. Yeah, gasp. He did that. He also tells the officers how a neighboring town police chief steals overtime. So, and if you ever wanted to characterize some guy as circling the drain and having others do it with him, you're experiencing it when you listen to these tapes. We also hear the chief participate in a discussion with senior Englewood Cliffs Police Department leadership about bringing guys in to take care of the mayor. It's bizarre. We hear the chief encouraging officers like Lieutenant Tracy and Officer Roos to bring baseless lawsuits against the town. There's actually a police vehicle video of Lieutenant Tracy speaking to a town resident about how baseless his own lawsuit is. This is after he filed it. So you could open that and get it, watch it. Or come over, I'll play it for you. Now, if that wasn't enough, it gets worse. We hear a discussion by the chief in front of senior officers and other Borough Hall employees about the anal penetration of a woman in graphic terms. Okay? This is disgusting, vile, and has no place in our society. The borough, again, has a zero-tolerance policy against workplace violence, racism, sexism, and sexually explicit language. I am asking this council to reaffirm that policy tonight, so that we can at least stand unified on one issue, which is we need to get rid of hatred. And I hope they all do so. By way of additional background, you should know that a police chief answers administratively to the mayor and council, and operationally a police chief answers to the county prosecutor, who in turn answers to the New Jersey Attorney General. In our situation, Chief Chaffee answers to the acting Bergen County Prosecutor, Dennis Kalo, who in turn answers to the Attorney General, Gurbir Grewal. who happens to be the former Bergen County prosecutor. I believe Mr. Kalo has had the same recordings we are all listening to since the beginning of August. So he is aware of the same things that I am aware of and that you are aware of, but nothing has happened. I believe that the Attorney General Graywall is also fully aware, but nothing has happened. In closing, the chief's lawyers keep saying that the death threat was a joke. What about everything else? Were those all jokes too? How many jokes did one police chief have? You know, in fact, I think the chief and his attorneys are now becoming jokes themselves, and they're trying to make fools of anyone who's taken their side and the system itself. Again, I have always been supportive of police and law enforcement, and will continue to be. I'm not supportive of corruption or corrupt police. I've been portrayed as going after police. I'm not. Really, I'm not. I see things, I deal with them, I refer them to the proper authorities. I'm not here to judge, I'm just here to flag, and that's what I'm doing. Okay, so that brings us up to date and where we're at. And having said that, I wanted to ask James Barbario, our Borough Administrator, to bring us up to date on property maintenance discussions. There's some things that just keep coming up over and over, and I just want the public to understand that we are dealing with property maintenance in a, logical manner, and just going through everything. So if you can, just say a few words, Mr. Barbario. Thank you.
Sure. I'll read into the record what the mayor and I on September 28th met with Nick Melfi, our construction zoning officer, and Art Sepesta, the property maintenance officer, at the Borough Hall to discuss concerns from residents at the special meeting of September 26th. And the number one, the first concerns were, and I'm going to read them right down the line here with the abatements. One was 460 Sylvan Ave, Sylvan Dental, illuminated light on building. The illuminated light on the building was denied on April 5th, 2018. They went ahead anyway and put the lights throughout the building in violation. On October 1st, 2018, the Borough Property Maintenance Officer personally spoke to the person in charge because the doctor was not in at the time. He explained that the lighting was put in illegally and the lights needed to be shut off and needed to be removed. The person told him she would shut the lights off and would talk to the doctor as soon as he returned from vacation. Property and maintenance will be following up this week. Oversized real estate sign on 467 Sylvan Ave. Multiple calls started on October 1st with no answer until October 5th. Property maintenance officer explained that the signage was too large and needed to be reduced. There will be a re-inspection this week. Multiple properties on the south end of town on Sylvan Ave. On September 28th, property maintenance officer visually inspected the property in sight. There were no abandoned cars, no trailers, no landscape trucks. The grass was cut, the buildings were maintained in good condition for empty buildings. 41 Sylvan Ave, signage in front window, Mario and Maria shop. October 1st, warning was sent out about the signage in front window, and it has been abated and has been removed. UPS store, multiple signs in window. The property maintenance officer on September 28, 2018, explained to the worker that the signage needed to be removed. She was only an employee. He will be following up with a certified letter to the owner. 9W Deli, the flag banners across utility poles. Property maintenance officer on October 3rd spoke to the owner. The owner said he would remove the flags. Flags have been removed. The second, Mr. President, that came up with concern, Sylvan Road property maintenance. The property maintenance officer said he travels these sites every day when in town. If there are any issues, they have been dealt with. If there are issues he's not aware of, he would like to be informed immediately, or you can inform me as well. Another concern was the resident was Sage Road commercial property. The concern is, where is this retention pond? The property maintenance officer said that during the construction, there was a field underneath the parking lot and pump station throughout the property that are dealing with the water. He thinks this question should really be addressed to the engineer. So I contacted the engineer, and it was confirmed that the retention pond is under the lot, 980 Sylvan Ave, northwest corner of Sage Road and 9W. To the right of the building is the NJDEP Water Quality Detention Basin. To the left of the building is a larger underground detention basin. The entire site, including the water quality basin, building roof, and parking lot, drains into the larger basin. The larger basin overflows into the Johnson Ave storm system. Mazer, our engineer, inspected all of the above, and it was installed as planned. One of the questions was how many violations were issued in 2018. Throughout the 2018, there were 71 violations issued, and 66 have been abated. There were 5 remaining properties that have upcoming deadlines to address the violation and to comply. These violations include residential and commercial. And that concludes my report, Mayor.
All right, thank you. So the genesis of that report was we had a citizen come up last month and tick off a few of those items for us. So I just want to make sure that we address those, and I think to our satisfaction, they've been addressed. Just keep on top of the ones that are still open, please.
I will, thank you.
Thank you. All right, can I have a motion to open to the public, please?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. So if there's anyone from the public who wishes to be heard, please raise your hand. Let me recognize you, and then just come up to the table here beyond the wall and speak to that microphone. State your name and address. Anyone from the public? Yes.
Adonis Morfestis, 26 John Street, Englewood Cliffs.
I know these.
Number one, I'd like to thank this gentleman here on my right, because he did respond to my complaints. The report that your maintenance, whatever you want to call him, the maintenance officer, he doesn't see abandoned vehicles. If you go by there right now, they're there
Where?
on Chaffee's properties.
What? I don't know Chaffee's properties. What?
It's north of the steakhouse,
Okay.
okay? All those properties,
They have abandoned vehicles?
they have abandoned vehicles, and in fact,
Did you call the property maintenance officer before coming here
I
tonight?
already told them.
Okay.
I have pictures. For 3 years they've been doing it. Nothing has changed. The man didn't see anything. The roof is coming down.
Do you want to answer that?
Yeah, I spoke to, the property maintenance officer today. He told me he's been there several times, he's not seen any abandoned cars.
Well, then he needs a
But-
doctor
okay.
to take care of his eyes.
That's okay.
Because
But-
everybody else sees it.
I know, but Tony, here's what we'll do, give me the pictures. I know you gave me pictures.
Why don't I take you there tonight in my car? I'll wait till you're finished.
Well, that's
So
fine.
this way you don't need a
But then-
picture. That's
And
the
then you have to
picture.
take me out for pizza. which
I'll
is
take you for pizza and a beer.
But here's the point, I spoke to him, but what I will do is I'll set up a meeting.
Number one, his trucks from his alarm company are parked on grass. He has sea containers in the back filled with crap and shit, excuse the French. The place has abandoned vehicles back there that haven't been moved in 3.5 years. I want to know what the man saw and how he saw it. Now, did the gentleman read our code? Because you can't have a sealed building in Englewood Cliffs. You can't have a building, a commercial building, with the roofs falling apart. I don't think the fire department will allow you to have gas, electric in a sealed building and water. You paying this guy 20 grand a year, 40 grand a year, 50 grand a year? Give it to the Boy Scouts. It's a better shot.
I'll speak.
I mean, I'm being honest, I mean, because now it's embarrassing.
Here's what we're gonna do.
Now it's like throwing it in my face.
We'll do.
Mr.
We'll do.
Morfestis, no cursing in public.
I'm sorry.
Even though we set a bad example
No,
up here on the right.
no. Listen,
Tomorrow, can you please just go down
Yes,
there?
I'll go down. I'll sleep when he's coming in on Friday as
Thank
well.
you. All right.
Okay, so,
okay, that's, you know.
All right, problem solved.
Try-
You're gonna go.
I'm happy about one thing.
You did the thing, I have no arguments about that, but when you tell me what the guy didn't do,
Okay, all
well,
right.
I'll handle it.
Anybody else from the public? Yes. So, folks, for fire code reasons, we can't block this door. There's some seats up front. We just have to keep it open. And, I don't know, you want to put some people in there?
No, you're not here and there,
Yeah.
you can't block the door.
You can't block the door, Mr. Wunsch.
You are.
Okay, yes, sir.
Okay, Gail Ehrenberg, 51 John Street. And before I start, I just want to let you know that I've written something, but I may leave early. And it's not because I'm being disrespectful for anybody, but it's because I'm really sick. But I wanted to get here tonight. So I'm just trying to say, if you see me leave, if I don't stay for the whole meeting, I'm not trying to disrespect anybody's person or their point of view. I don't come to meetings anymore because I cannot take the conduct of the people in town. The screaming, the riot-like atmosphere, sitting on the floor, stomping hands and feet. Yes, this did happen once. It was one of the last meetings I came to.
Hold on a second. Ms. Park left her cell phone on.
That was actually my son's, I had it fixed today, so I forgot.
Very professional. This riot-like behavior I don't expect from adults or from any aged person. It was with great disappointment, sadness, and even anger that I am here tonight. I have lived in this town for over 30 years, and have tried to be involved. I've been in the PTA president, helping recreation, working in the schools, both as a school nurse and finally on the Board of Ed. On Tuesday, October 2nd, a friend from another town gave me the Star Ledger and told me there was an article about my town in it. I don't usually read the papers anymore. I'm not on social media. Then I turned on Channel 12 and I saw it reported. Needless to say, I was disgusted. Many people in town continue in actions that are inappropriate and harmful. Children bully children, adults bully children, and adults bully adults. Being too civil to one another is dead. We can agree, but we have to be polite. Agree to disagree. This is a subject I have talked about several times at previous meetings, but to no avail. We continue to do and say things that are harmful and hateful. How an official, a man of power in our town, the police chief, could say such things, even if he was joking, is not funny. It is appalling, unethical, and unprofessional. I would like to kill her. Shame on anyone for saying that, and shame on you. Psychological damage can last forever. I know people who were bullied as children, and this damage has lasted into adulthood. Shame on the media for not covering this situation better. The news has sugarcoated this incident as well as the legal system, the courts. Just like the concert in Central Park a few weeks ago, where there were 60,000 people and someone shouted, "Shooter." They immediately got the musicians off the stage, but a riot occurred, a stampede. The media reported that there was not any serious injuries. I guess serious meant no one died. They didn't interview the people that were trampled and thought they were going to die. They didn't interview the people that went to the hospital with serious injuries. And weeks later, some of these people still are mentally, emotionally, and medically harmed and scarred. How about the Bergen County official who made racist remarks? He is out of a job. Was he joking? Why do we have different standards for different people? Everyone should be treated the same. Today I heard on the news, a teacher tweeted, "Who will take one for the team and kill Kavanaugh?" Was she joking? Well, she resigned from her job. These are not jokes. Shame on the people of this town who state this was nothing but a joke. If this happened to you, you wouldn't be laughing. You would be terrified and demand action. But it didn't happen to you. It happened to someone else. So in your eyes, it's okay. There were also sexual and racial remarks made. How unprofessional. Shame on our town and officials for not condemning these actions, no matter what party you are aligned to. If a child or adolescent in school said remarks that were made by our police chief, there would be an investigation. A psychological exam would be required. I knew a mother who got a phone call from her child's school and was asked if there was a gun or guns in their house. She asked why. Well, her child said that he believed in the Second Amendment, the right to own a gun. There was no gun. It was a belief he had. Does that mean you have to go after somebody? That people in the position of high office, as our police chief, who has a gun, can make jokes about killing someone. Again, unethical, unprofessional behavior. This is why our town and society and the country is in such a mess. Lack of ethics, lack of caring, lack of respect, lack of looking at our town as a whole, rather than dividing it. Look at yourselves and see what you are teaching the younger generation, to be uncaring, out only for me, out for what benefits me and not the people of the community, how to be hateful. The younger generation learns all this because adults and their parents are teaching this to them. Wake up, Englewood Cliffs. Bring back politeness, caring, and being civil to one another. Remove hate from your heart. Speak out for the right things, for the community, the town as a whole. The United States was and still is a melting pot of people of all types. We should be a town of togetherness, wholeness, not of division. I'd like to thank Carol McMorrow for her dedication and service to our town. She has given much of herself. So thank you, Carol. And lastly, I remind you of something written during World War II. First, they came for the communists, but I was not a communist, so I did not speak out. Then they came for the socialists and the trade unions, but I was not neither, so I did not speak out. Then they came for the Jews, but I was not a Jew, so I did not speak out. And then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak out for me. Thank you.
Anybody else wishing to be heard? Yes, sir. No, we can't do that, sir. No. One at a time. One at a time. You're all welcome to speak one at a time. You're not allowed to block the doorway. You're blocking the doorway. You are blocking the doorway. You are still blocking the doorway. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Excuse me. My name is Ben Todd, and I'm a resident of Rivervale. I work here for the Police Department of Englewood Cliffs. I'm here as a co-chairman of the Englewood Cliffs Police Department PBA bargaining unit, and I'm here in a representation capacity on behalf of all officers of the Englewood Cliffs Police Department, with the exception of the Chief of Police. We don't represent him. Tonight, on behalf of all of our members, I would like to read a statement prepared by the PBA on what the PBA understands to be a matter of important public concern. The statement relates as follows. The PBA declares the bargaining unit's severe disappointment in this council's majority leadership to systematically drive a wedge between the governing body, the public, and the police department. It's clear to us that the mayor believes that he has unilateral control over the town and its police department. A Bergen County Superior Court judge recently issued an injunction prohibiting the mayor from taking any unilateral action usurping the authority of the Borough Council. We have seen Mayor Kranjak refuse to negotiate in good faith by personally and unilaterally terminating negotiations and ordering our representatives to vacate the town hall. We've seen him attempt to unilaterally enact orders and policies within the police department, and most recently we've seen him endeavor to terminate 3 of our members, Captain Regan, Captain Murphy, and Lieutenant Hankelman. Foregoing commentary on the matters for which they are charged, these men and all of our members are entitled to the due process of an impartial and fair investigation conducted by the authorized entity. These men are entitled to fundamental fairness and process free from political bias. Mayor Kranjak is not an internal affairs investigator, and he is not an agent of the Office of the Prosecutor. Mayor Kranjak is also not the appropriate authority in this borough. Speaking perhaps to a more troubling issue, we take issue with legal counsel, which contests what appears to be unlawful behavior as recently found and enjoined by a Bergen County Superior Court judge. This unit will continue to fight for the rights of its members and will not be dissuaded by acts of intimidation or retaliation or violations of the law. Thank you.
Can I ask you a question? Will you join me, will you and the PBA join me? Will you and the PBA join me in condemning workplace violence, racism, and sexism? Will you join me in that?
I was here for a statement, we have a meeting on that.
You can't decide on your own toes?
So long as you don't kick us out of Borough Hall again, we're here to negotiate fairly, we will speak with you anytime you want.
So you can't decide if you're against racism, sexism, and workplace violence? All right, so for the record, I asked the PBA rep if he would join me in condemning workplace violence, sexism, and racism, and he couldn't answer that question. Mr. Wunsch, you are blocking the doorway again. Please, you need to open the doorway. There's seats here.
Look at the doorway, you see there's plenty of room. Plenty of room. Okay, you keep bringing this up for no reason other than to be a bully. And it's not
Mr. Wunsch,
not gonna work. Okay? Get it out.
Get out of the way.
That's the alley on the tape, by the way. Yeah, he's on the
That's the
tape.
alley.
We're gonna pause for a minute here.
So, and we can hear what you're on.
I'm on the tapes.
Yeah.
I'm proud to be on the
Okay.
Sir,
My turn.
sir.
Please remove him.
Please remove him.
Remove him, please.
Please remove him.
Remove him and do not let him back in here tonight.
The chief references...
Greg Jack hates cops.
No, out of the building.
So, out of the building. That's not out of the building.
Shame on him. We honor him.
Chief of police referenced his name.
Why is she speaking from the audience?
Lieutenant Weicker, he has to leave the building. Is he going through the police department? He went to the left. He doesn't belong in there. He's in the police department, he does not belong in there. All right, for everybody who's wondering, now, that was a member of the New Jersey Bar. That was a member of the New Jersey Bar behaving that way. Because that's Albert Wunsch. And that's the way things work. Is he out of the building, sir? No, sir. Mr. Wunsch.
Once he went that way, he needs to be escorted out of the building.
He's leaving now. All right, that's unacceptable behavior. I'm sorry, folks, but this is endemic of what happens after 42 years. I see the former mayor here. Would you like to say anything about corruption or racism, workplace violence, anything like that, sir? No? You're not going to say anything tonight? I didn't think you would. All right. Anybody else wishing to be heard? Yes, sir. For everybody standing outside, there are seats available in here now. You're welcome to just join us in here, it's easier. I see several of the chief's attorneys back there. You'd be more comfortable sitting down perhaps, Mr. Altieri? I'm very comfortable right here. Yeah. Who's the other guy? Okay, I also see the chief's criminal defense lawyer back there. You're welcome to come in here as well. Yes, sir.
David DeGregorio, 165 Charlotte Place, Englewood Cliffs, New Jersey. I would like to respectfully ask the mayor if he had any government experience prior to taking the position of mayor.
What else would you like to ask?
I'd like an answer to
No,
that
this is not
question.
an exchange. I'll answer your questions if I want to. Right now, I don't want to.
Well, you sort of cross-examined and, hung people without having response. So
Really? I asked the
figured-
PBA rep if he's opposed to workplace violence, and he couldn't come up with an answer. I asked him if he was opposed to racism. He couldn't come up with an answer. I asked him if he was opposed to sexism. He couldn't come up with an answer. I guess I have to go back and ask Chief Chaffee what he should say.
We have a situation in town that is very, very serious. We should welcome affordable housing, but unfortunately, the ball was dropped. And the ball was dropped, and it has risked our town getting 600 units on Sylvan Avenue, which is going to cause huge disruption and tax hike. It's great, we should have affordable housing, but the affordable housing, the reason why it's coming into town is because of the inexperience of this mayor and the distraction that he's had and the obsession that he's had with the police department since day one. This mayor has been, and I encourage everyone watching this to look at the past tapes. Our mayor has been critical of how much our police officers earn, vocally. He has complained about their salaries, which is highly inappropriate. The place to negotiate is at the negotiating table. It is not in public. That's why I asked if you had experience as a borough administrator or any kind of experience, because it seems like you came into the position with zero experience, and you did not reach out to, as you just said, insinuated, the corrupt people that have had experience for 40 years.
I'm glad you agree with
If
me.
you did, I do not agree with you. I do not agree with you when you say corrupt. Let me put that on the record. Had you, and had Mr. Perino, had lunch, and had this new administration started off with a spirit of respect, your die speech really kind of mapped it out, that you are basically the king, and that people need to come to the pinstriped mayor and bow to be heard. Yes. So, fact or fiction, I heard behind me. I would, a little levity. What's going on in this town, and I've said it before, is like a Shakespearean drama. We have someone in the back with a camcorder who has been probably the root cause, I think, as her husband seemed to have been passed over for chief many years ago. That's caused resentment all along, and unfortunately,
Okay, you're getting off.
you've taken the,
I know you rehearsed, so get back on
I
track.
know
Okay.
rehearsal. I don't
Get
need
back
to
on
rehearse.
track. Get back on track.
So, this mayor has signed on to this vendetta, creating a horrible working atmosphere. I feel sorry for all the police officers in this town. They should be commended for doing good and protecting all residents in town. They earned, and they bargained, and they earned, and they deserve every cent. Longevity. Some officers have been here for a very long time, and they've been criticized for making high salaries. If you work for a company for a long time, unless you put a cap on it, and that you do at the negotiating table. Again, Mayor Kranjak, inexperience. Mayor Kranjak, unfeeling. Mayor Kranjak, bully. Mayor Kranjak, not embracing, recognizing people with mental disorders. Mayor Kranjak, and respecting them and trying to get help for the people that have mental disorders in this town.
Let Mr. Di Gregorio say his piece, please. Thank you, folks. Let him say his piece.
In addition to
It's
that,
important that we hear both sides.
Absolutely.
As wrong as this man is, let's listen to him.
okay, I'm glad you got a laugh, and that's okay. If a person in your position wants to belittle, that's okay. It just shows more of who you are, not who I am. I stand proud. I'm a good citizen of town. I voted for Mayor Kranjak, let me remind everybody. And I am disappointed that he didn't reach out, because he could have saved our town 600 units that's going to change the face of this town. I know that the fellow from Normandy is sitting in the back. He could sit down and be reasonable with the police. But this mayor does not know how to be reasonable, he does not know how to be humble, and that stems from an utter sheer insecurity and a lack of experience in the position.
Okay, thank you.
Would you
Anybody
like to
else wishing to
respond?
be heard? Thank you for your comments, sharing your feelings. We appreciate that. Anybody else? Anybody else? Okay. For those people watching this at home, this is a monthly occurrence for Mr. Di Gregorio comes in and pontificates. I can't see, there's a hand behind you. Yes, sir. It's okay, folks. He's entitled to his opinion. It's fine. We encourage both sides to speak.
Just want to ask you one question.
Can you state your name and address, please?
David Sivan, 129 Hollywood Avenue, Englewood Cliffs, New Jersey.
Can you spell Sivan, please?
C-I-V-A-N.
Thank you.
What university did you finish after your law degree? I'm just asking. I mean, you know, if it's personal, you don't have to answer me.
I don't have to answer anything. Why does it matter?
Oh, it matters. It matters in, you know, what I'm about to discuss.
What did other mayors have? Did you question any of the other mayors?
You have to, you can't do this, Mayor.
Sir.
Please, let him speak. Let the citizen speak. It's okay. He could ask whatever questions he wants.
Well, if it's a personal matter, you don't have to, you know, address the matter, because, you know, I'm going to bring it to a...
I didn't understand your question, the way you
Well, I
asked.
just wanted to know what university you finished.
Great. What else do you want to say?
You know, I got a lot to say. I've been over here since 1972. I'm on my 46th year in this town. I watched houses go up. I watched streets go up from dirt roads. I watched a lot of things happen in this town and where it stands today. I actually had to quit high school when I was 17 years old to go run after my father's business to pay 4 mortgages. My mother died 9 years ago. A lot of people told me, why ain't I selling the house and getting out of here? I all told them, I have a lot of love for this town, and that's why I'm still here. Apparently, you've come into this town, let's say 20 years ago, but you haven't been over here a lifetime like I have. And you took over this town in not seeing how this town was actually made by lumber, by streets, by landscaping, by day in and day out, from the 60s, the 70s, and the 80s. I witnessed it all. You come into this town, you become mayor, you start picking on everybody. You send me junk mail to my house every day, okay? More and more stuff coming about Mike Giaffi. Let me tell you something about Mike Giaffi. That man saved my father's life, and I'll never forget that. 2 times, okay? I asked you what university you finished, because whatever university you finished in becoming an attorney, you never read this book. That's the Holy Bible, my friend. You need to read that book. That's the book that you have to read. I'm giving you that book.
Can you pick up the papers
I'm
if you
giving you that book, okay? From my heart to you.
Okay, read John 3:16. Just to answer the gentleman's questions, who, he wants to know my background, so I'll tell everybody my background. I went to Fordham University, College of Business Administration.
Never read that book.
I met my wife there, my freshman year. We commuted together, we met in the parking lot. I was an accounting major. I graduated, took the public accounting exam, passed all 4 parts, and went straight to law school, went to Fordham Law, passed the New York bar and the New Jersey bar. Read a lot of the Bible, read a lot of the Koran, read a lot of other religious books, because we were required to have an open mind at Fordham, between our philosophy courses and our theology courses. But what we also learned was that facts matter. And as much as you want feelings to be the truth, and feelings to be facts, the truth is based on facts. Not on your feelings, not on consensus, not on mob rule. Anybody else wishing to be heard? And I have my own Bible, so I don't need yours. You can take it back. Yes, ma'am.
My gift to you.
Angela Chen, 22 Sarah Hilling. I moved here a couple of years ago, so I'm new to the town. I moved here because this is a nice neighborhood, makes me feel safe, and there's population of Asian here because I feel, I can really be related to. And it's always a very nice neighborhood to me. Until this year, I heard everything, and I feel very furious about what I heard, especially the racism against, the community here and against people here who are not, we were not born here, but we want to be treated the same. We want to be respected. Even I don't speak very fluent English. If even I have accent, I don't want to be laughed at. I heard some people here, even in the council, they actually support those kind of person. So what people like me will feel? I just moved here, I'm Asian, and I've been laughed at.
That's wrong. You shouldn't be laughed at. And I will actually tell you, I'm the son of immigrants. My parents didn't speak English either. I went through what you're going through in some ways as well. I learned English when I went to kindergarten. My wife is an immigrant from Italy. She came here when she was 10. This is the American dream.
Exactly. So I hope my dream is not going to be broken here. And I hope all the council members will be united and not just want to achieve their own political goals and to sacrifice other people's benefit or whatever the things that we want to achieve. We have to be one town, and everybody has to look into everyone living the town's interests, not just look into their own interests for their political reasons. If they want to run for the next mayor, if they want to be the senator of the state, that's fine. We can support you. But you don't sacrifice our interests to achieve that. We're one town.
Very well said. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else wishing to be heard? Yes.
Come on. Debbie Fair, 49 Irving Avenue, Englewood Cliffs. First, I would like to say that Mr. Gregorio is exactly on target. The reason that we have a lawsuit in town for 600 affordable housing units is because
That's false.
you,
It's not
I'm
600.
speaking, I have the floor, is because you and your planning board took the eye off the ball. You have only cared about harassing the police department and harassing the police chief. Anything that has happened after that is because you have driven it. You have created this situation. You have created the affordable housing situation. You have created the situation with the police. This was not anyone else's doing but your own.
The affordable housing situation started in 1974, when I was 9 years old.
Excuse me, you know exactly what I'm saying. The planning board rejected a stellar application for a corporate office building at that location, and because that application was rejected, they filed instead an affordable housing lawsuit. That was not their original intention. No one spends $1.5 million on an application because they want some stupid little subdivision, that's your cover story. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. How stupid do you think people in this town are?
How do you know their number? How do you know how much they spent?
Everybody knows.
How do you know how much?
Published. It's been published. It is out there. So,
Okay.
your harassment of the police department and your harassment of the chief is what has led us to where we are today.
Okay, all right. Will you stand with me in zero tolerance for racism,
Excuse me.
workplace violence, sexism? Will you stand with me in that?
No one is
You
in
won't?
favor
Okay.
of that, and the police are not. You're just trying to dissuade the discussion. You're trying to undermine people's comments by changing the conversation. The tapes are only being discussed as you want them to be discussed. You are letting it out of context as you see
Is there a good
fit.
context for racism? Is there a good context for sexism?
There is no one listening.
Is there a good
to the
context for
entire
workplace
tape
violence?
And hearing the entire...
Tell me that
tape
context that
in
would make that
full
plausible.
Context. You are controlling the narrative of those tapes.
Is there a good context for that?
There very well could be.
There's a good
but no
context
one
for
has heard
racism?
them all.
There's a good
I
context for
didn't say
racism.
that.
Okay.
You are putting words
I'd love to hear
in my
that.
mouth. That you're bullying me, just like you bully everyone else, but I don't stand for it. Now, the main
Okay, folks,
point that I
stop
would like to
interrupting.
make is, there is a motion and a second on the floor at this council meeting. I am very, very well-versed in Robert's Rules of Order. They do not have to be recognized. You are obligated to take a vote when a motion and a second is on the floor. It is not up to you to recognize them. A motion and a second is on the floor, and it must be...
Now, you're wrong.
voted on.
You're wrong.
I am not wrong. I am 100%
No.
well-versed in Robert's Rules of Order.
Thank you.
And you are wrong.
Thank you. I don't know what version you're reading, but you're reading, not reading the
I'm
right
reading the correct version. I don't know what version you're reading.
one. All right, thank you. Anybody else wishing to be heard? Yes, ma'am.
Lauren Eastwood, Four-Wheeler Drive. First, I'd like to pick up on a point that the police made, which is that they are entitled to due process. It's time for Councilman Aversa, Councilwoman Ellen Park, and Councilwoman O to stop playing games and hire a hearing officer so the officers can get the due process to which they are entitled. At the court hearing on Friday, Judge Frisha made it crystal clear that the allegations against Chief Chaffee need to be addressed, not ignored. During the hearing, Judge Frisha referred to the very serious and severe allegations, very concerning and serious allegations, the outrageousness of the allegations, the seriousness or outrageousness of the alleged allegations, egregious allegations, how egregious the charges are, and the serious nature of these allegations. She clearly didn't think it was a joke. Judge Frisha also stated that the allegations here have been existing for not weeks, not days, many months. I'm not sure why this action was taken when it was taken and not long ago. I'm not quite sure why there has been no action taken by the borough. Unfortunately, the residents of Englewood Cliffs do know. It's because Councilman Aversa, Councilwoman Ellen Park, and Councilwoman O placed their loyalty to their political allies ahead of their legal responsibilities to the residents of Englewood Cliffs.
I'd also like to address the issue of corruption. I've lived here a long time, long enough to remember a lawsuit over the 800 Sylvan property about an expansion in which people voted when they shouldn't have voted. And the borough got sued. And the borough paid $375,000 to settle that lawsuit. And I have a letter from Carter Karsten. There were other settlements too, but they're not public. So we don't know how much the total cost of that fiasco was. I'd also like to point out that more recently, we had houses built on an unpaved street. The houses were built by a former Democratic council candidate. And now we have people who abut that property, including the woman who screamed out about the corruption comment, who are unhappy because they might be assessed to pave that street, which should have been paved at the time the building went up. I'd also like to point out that we've been here since 1979. When we moved here, the mayor's name was Parisi. It's been Parisi for almost the entire time we've lived here. Since 1979, which was, I believe, 5 years after the affordable housing mandate came down from the New Jersey Supreme Court, under 42 years of Parisi, not a single unit of affordable housing was built in Englewood Cliffs. So I'm really tired of hearing people say that the mess at 800 Sylvan is the Kranjak administration's problem, and it's the Kranjak administration's fault, because it's not. 42 of the last 45 years, all of which were under an affordable housing mandate, were Democratic administration headed by someone named Parisi. So perhaps if they had had foresight, they would have done something about it. I'd also like to point out that John Schapese, one of the people involved in the earlier 800 Sylvan litigation, put in an Oprah request for the documents on the borough's COA a month before the planning board hearing started. So I think that there's a lot of questions about whether they ever intended to put in an office building, or whether they were just looking for the largest possible subdivision so they could squeeze the largest possible number of housing units on there. Finally, I'd like to bring an apparent misuse of the borough's intellectual property to your attention. There is a Facebook page called Protect Englewood Cliffs, which currently features a letter to Democratic council candidate Debbie Sabari. This is the Facebook page. Should look familiar to everybody because it looks just like the borough's website. And it clearly appears to be an attempt to mislead people into thinking it is an official borough web Facebook page, which it is not. And I'd like to know how the owners of Protect Englewood Cliffs obtained this top part, which looks like it came right off the borough's website. And I think the borough needs to take action to make sure that it is crystal clear that this is not the borough's, and it is a Democratic Facebook page masquerading as a borough Facebook page.
All right, so that's known as confusion. So that's known as confusion in the marketplace, and we'll take a look at that. We actually have, first time we have a dog here tonight. I think maybe we should all bring our dogs and we get along better. Yes. You know anything about that? About that?
Sorry, I just want to...
For people standing, there are seats open. You're welcome to come in.
My name is Carol McMorrow, and I live at 489 Summit Street. And I will say that I'm a little, I actually, when I saw all the police officers here, I had some hope that they were coming up to the microphone and they were going to denounce everything that they have been reading in the papers and state that they don't agree with what they are reading. I want everybody to know that I have the utmost of respect for police. I always have. My husband is the retired Deputy Chief of Police who served this borough honorably for 42 years, even though, for the record, Ed Aversa, Allen Park, and Gloria O, again, cannot look up and pay attention when we are talking about something extremely important. And I ask all of you, there's nothing that you're doing right now that is more important than what I am going to say to you and read aloud.
Excuse me, before you... folks, I need you to remain silent.
My two oldest boys, both enlisted into the Coast Guard. The older one is still in the Coast Guard. The middle one had to leave on a medical discharge, and our youngest son is presently in his second year as a police officer. And my husband and I are very proud of all three of our boys. And I can tell you right now that what I'm going to be reading to you here is not something that would ever happen in my house or any of our children would ever be engaged in. Mayor, for the record, I just want to clarify when Albert Wunsch was here, Albert Wunsch was Dylan's Little League coach. I have always held Al, my husband and I, in the highest of regard. And I'm truly disappointed at what I witnessed here tonight. He was the Albie that was referenced on the tape. I have not heard his actual name. I want to clarify that so there's no misunderstanding. But the chief of police referenced him as Albie, and anybody that's been in this town long enough knows that usually Albie is the nickname for Albert Wunsch. I look forward to hearing him testify, be deposed, whatever happens in proceedings, whether here or somewhere else, if he is that Albie, and if the chief of police and what he said is correct or not. Okay, I'm going to be, and also, Allen Park, Ms. Rizzuto, for the record, I believe Allen Park has a conflict. I've noted this several times. She's suing me. She wants to sue me again, and she is continually violating her ethical obligation to recuse when she's being told to recuse.
So a conflict regarding the chief?
Regarding me.
Regarding you?
Yes. It doesn't matter you're for counsel, you look for the counsel who's going to give you the answer you want, so I'm just putting that on the record.
And for the record, I stated it before, I discussed it with...
I can't hear you with the microphone.
I'm sorry, I discussed it with Councilwoman Park, and I told her that she sued you and threatened to sue you, and it constitutes a conflict of interest.
Okay.
She has declined to recuse.
Okay, so as long as it's on the record. I'm going to be reading some portions of what is known, or my words, I want to say that, of tape 102. The date on this tape, by the chief's own words, is January 12th, 2017. And for those of you in the audience, I just want you to know, I listened to all the tapes that were turned over. There appear to be many tapes that are still missing. And these tapes that were turned over appear to have started being recorded as early as about a month and a half after the mayor and I took office. So he and I were being targeted we were only in office a month and a half. And I just want everyone in the audience to know that, and whoever's watching at home. So on tape 102, there's a portion, it's about 3 hours long, this tape. This is a small little piece, and there's many pieces on here that will eventually come out. This conversation took place after a budget meeting that I was in attendance with Councilman Wu. I believe the mayor was there at that meeting. I didn't write that down, but it was a budget meeting upstairs. And it was with Chief Chaffee, Captain Regan, and Lieutenant Henkelman. After they finished the budget meeting, we said our goodbyes, and unbeknownst to me, at that time, they went downstairs to the tax office, where they had conversations with Paul Duffy, Janice Romano, and Fran Marinuzzi. At 2:12:09, the chief opens up conversation. And I believe all of you have references in your charges, because you received the charges on September 12th, and then subsequently you received more about 2 weeks after, and it was noted in a footnote on those charges that it was the best transcription or reference that they could make. I think the exact, hold on. The exact footnote noted was, the materials in quotation marks are taken from listening to the tape recording and are written herein as accurately as possible. So at 2:12:09, the chief opens up conversation. Captain Regan, Lieutenant Henkelman, Chief Chaffee, Paul Duffy, Janice Romano, Fran Marinuzzi. He referenced me while talking about the scene from the movie Animal House. I'd actually never seen that scene in the movie. I had to Google it on YouTube and understand what was even being spoken about. He references the scene in Animal House where Kevin Bacon is on all fours in his underwear. And Kevin Bacon is getting spanked with a paddle over and over. And the chief says, "Hey, you know what? You know what that was? That was like, 'Thank you, sir, may I have another? Thank you, sir, may I have another?' With Carol, yeah, slap me, thank you, sir, may I have another?" That's not funny if somebody's laughing. I'm just going to say that right now, okay? How is this appropriate conversation in the workplace? Gloria, do you feel that to be appropriate conversation in the workplace?
I'm not making any comments now. I reserve my comments later.
Well, I'll be asking each and every one of you at the end of my presentation and what I have to see what your comments are. I'm not cross-examining. Thank you. How is this appropriate conversation in the workplace? How is this conversation referencing me to that scene in Animal House with someone in their underwear getting spanked with a paddle appropriate? Do you think it is acceptable for the chief of police to be saying to a group of employees, which included Captain Regan, Lieutenant Henkelman, Paul Duffy, Janice Romano, and Fran Marinuzzi, "Carol was in a really good mood. I think you were going in the back door and making her happy." Can you imagine this? The chief at Borough Hall with 6 other borough employees, 2 of which are police officers, talking about how anal sex is making me happy. Next.
You're funny? You people here!
Mike,
Ed, you people!
Mike,
shut down!
That's out of order.
Hey, Mike,
Okay?
what I had to go through!
You know what? Why isn't he being removed?
Mike.
For yelling out?
Because he's upset about his wife.
You don't get to do that, sir. Just like
It's
the
under
rest of
control. It's under control. Go ahead.
For the record, that's my husband, and he has had to hear me listen to tapes talking about cops having anal intercourse with me. I want to know which one of you sitting in this audience that has a wife, a sister, a daughter, is okay to listen to this continually. This is disgusting. I don't understand what kind of world we have come to, and this town is out of control.
Mr. Altieri, that's not funny, Mr. Altieri. Go ahead.
Next. Next, they laughed at the chief's statements saying about me, "Ooh, what a visual." Then Chief Chaffee continues saying, "I remember that whole thing about a bag. That's a two-bagger, one for you and one for her." Then they all continued to laugh, going back and forth about me. I want to ask all of you if you think that this is okay, with this being said at work by employees about myself, another person who was working at Borough Hall. Would you find this conversation okay if Chief Chaffee, Captain Rigo, Lieutenant Hinkleman had these types of conversations about any residents, about your wife, your daughter, your sister? How can you find that this disgusting, deplorable, lewd, indecent, vile conversation does not warrant hiring a hearing officer? This language and conduct is not the conduct of an officer and a gentleman, or any borough employee. As if that wasn't enough, within minutes, Chief Chaffee returns to the conversation about me saying, at 2:16:24, "She was very happy." Lieutenant Hinkleman responds, "So were you." Chief Chaffee then goes on to reference how Mike, my husband, was making me happy, again referencing sex. You can hear Captain Regan and Lieutenant Hinkleman go into belly laughs. It is out of line for the chief of police, the most senior law enforcement officer of this borough, to talk this way in front of women. It is out of line for him to speak this way about women. It is out of line for him to speak this way in front of employees. And it is out of line for him to speak this way in front of subordinates. On the flip side, it is out of line for all of these individuals that were present to engage in this conversation, to laugh about it, and to not say, stop. By not saying stop, they were all participants. Disgusting, vile, reprehensible. And for you to not bring a hearing officer to investigate this situation makes you complicit in these actions, and you are all accepting and tolerant of this type of graphic, explicit sexual harassment if you vote no to a hearing officer. I brought the sexual harassment policy with me. The borough has a zero-tolerance acceptance of sexual harassment in the workplace. For the record, I believe Ellen Park was asking if there ever was questions as to what policies we had. Talking this way about anyone. Oh, excuse me, I forgot this part. As if the above conversation, excuse me, they're laughing. They think it's funny. They think sexual harassment, I'm completely what, Ellen? What?
Did I ask you for something? I'm sorry. You mentioned me by name.
Yes, you're laughing through this whole proceeding. You're all on videotape. You are laughing. You have laughed every single time. Guess what? When you vote, if it's a yes or a no, I'm not going to argue at all.
Reference me by name.
I will reference you every single time you have voted no twice to a hearing officer. You should be ashamed of yourself. I'm going to read the next comment here. Thank you. And I hope the young lady in the back that spoke so eloquently, Angela, is still here, because I want her to hear this. As if the above conversations weren't enough, then they felt the need to go make fun of Councilman Wu, saying, "Woo, woo, wook." Then they go on to say, "Chink, chank, liang." Ching, chang, liang. And they all started laughing, walla, walla, bing, bang. Funny, huh? You think that's funny?
Shame on you.
Thank you. Thank you. You're trying to get me to stop talking about this. I am not going to. The residents have a right in this town to know. You have 30% Asian residents in this town, and you think it's okay to say ching, chang, liang? You people disgust me. Disgust me. I don't know how you put your head down on your pillow at night and sleep. You are elected to do a job and to work for the residents that are in this town, whether they voted for you or not.
Mr. Di Gregorio, it's not funny.
I'm not laughing.
Okay.
I am not laughing. For the record, turn around.
In a few minutes, then they go, there's more.
That's bad, bro. That's bad, bro.
In a few minutes. They then go on to talk about my looks. Chief Chaffee says, I don't want to say anything bad, but I don't know how, again with a sexual reference and being egged on by one of the officers, I wasn't sure if it was Captain Regan or Lieutenant Hinkleman, so I don't want to name anybody incorrectly, goes on to say, then turns to Paul Duffy saying, if I had a choice between you and her, I'd take you. You're prettier. And then they all go on to have another belly laugh. Talking this way about anyone, a resident, an employee, or anyone else, is in violation of many things. There is absolutely no excuse for the language and conversation on this tape. None. Nothing. This is degrading and disgusting. This is humiliating. I'd like to hear what all of you have to say about these horrendous conversations made by the chief of police and the two other high-ranking officers. I hope you will take the moment to respond. And I hope you're not going to blame me that I deserved this, as I heard Mr. Di Gregorio say that it was the mayor's fault. Okay, I've heard all the tapes.
Excuse me.
I'm allowed to speak, he's not allowed to respond to me like that. Okay. I hope that you are not going to blame me, as I am the victim, as you have been, going around door to door, saying things and handing out flyers. I have placed on the record at the last 2 to 3 meetings, what I feel about who has conflicts, and I understand that Ellen Park does not want to respect that. I do feel that they will not be able to keep an impartial mind and vote on anything having to do with me. On 9/26/18, you heard tape number 100, where Chief Chaffee called me a bitch, made a threat to want to kill me, and then go back and forth discussing if it was worth it, and tell a fellow employee I was breaking his balls. On the agenda was a resolution to hire a hearing officer. Ed Aversa, Gloria O., and Ellen Park, you voted no. On October 4th, 2018, you heard racist comments, derogatory comments, and cursing in a conversation between Chief Chaffee and Captain Murphy about Councilman
The dogs always know.
That was funny.
On October 4th, 2018, you heard racist comments. You had racist comments, derogatory comments, and cursing in a conversation between Chief Chaffee and Captain Murphy about Councilman Mark Park. On the agenda was a resolution to hire a hearing officer. Ed Aversa, Gloria O., and Ellen Park. Again, you voted no. Tonight, October 10th, 2018, you just heard me talk about conversations that were on tape number 102. You heard me talk about the additional racist comments about Councilman Wu and former Councilman Liang. You heard me talk about the chief referencing me to a scene from Animal House where Kevin Bacon was in his underwear on all fours getting spanked. Thank you, sir. May I have another? Spank me. You also heard me just talk about a conversation where Chief Chaffee is talking about how anal sex would make me happy, how this is a two-bagger, reference to maybe my husband was making me happy with a sexual undertone, and how he would prefer Paul Duffy over me because Paul was prettier. Guys, these tapes contain conversations that are so vile and disgusting that I just cannot understand how these police officers, Chief Chaffee, Captain Regan, and Lieutenant Hinkleman, and the borough employees mentioned earlier could have engaged in them while on duty, in uniform, within our borough hall. Our workplace should be a safe place, free from these types of conversations. It is no surprise to me that we do not have a female officer here, given how the chief is conducting himself. Perhaps it is a blessing, because I can only imagine what that female officer would have been subjected to under such a vile and disgusting man, from what I have heard on these tapes. I would just, before I step away, like to read what PBA Local 49, Police Benevolent Association, Local Number 49, said about Sheriff Sordino when they found out about the racist comments, which, in my opinion, what Sheriff Sordino stated on those tapes was children's hour for Mr. Rogers' neighborhood compared to what I have heard and what I stated to you. The PBA members put a letter out. I'm just going to read you the first paragraph. I'm not going to read the whole thing. The members of this union are deeply disturbed by the comments made by Sheriff Sordino. His conduct undermines all law enforcement officers and destroys the relationships we worked so hard to establish in our community. His statements are a stain on law enforcement which cannot be tolerated. They go on to say how they reject his comments. I look forward to our PBA saying the same thing, because our police department is an accredited police department, and to be an accredited police department, there are certain criteria. And their mission statement, they have a mission statement, as well as does the New Jersey State Association of Chiefs of Police. And the New Jersey State Association of Chiefs of Police, right off their website, says to promote and enhance the highest ethical and professional standards in law enforcement at all levels through New Jersey. I wouldn't call this the highest ethical work performance. I hope tonight that you show the decency to do the right thing and uphold the policies within our Policy and Procedures Manual, along with our rules and regulations under the police department, which many were violated on this. And, Mayor, under our municipal ordinance 2-13.11, they violated D, using indecent, profane, harsh, or uncivil language to any person while on duty. They violated J, immorality, indecency, lewdness. They violated M, for conduct unbecoming an officer and a gentleman. And under the police department rules and regulations, these were public documents, guys. They violated 3:1.14, 3:7.3, 3:7.14, 3:11.5, and 3:11.7. There may be many others. That was what I came up with.
Thank you, I got them all.
So I would just like to ask, Councilman Aversa, after you heard what I read, what do you have to say? Do you think it's appropriate for any police officer To use, it's a yes or a no, to use sexual explicit commentary in the workplace, yes or no? You can't answer yes or no? So are you refusing to answer yes or no? Councilwoman Park, do you think it's acceptable for police officers to use sexually explicit commentary, as they did, describing anal sex amongst many other things that I read to you? Do you find that acceptable for the police officers that were named in this situation? Yes or no?
I'm going to reserve my right to my comment. I'm going to reserve my comment.
What's there to reserve?
Because I'm not here to have a banter.
I'm not having a banter, I'm asking, I'm not an elected official anymore. Excuse me, I'm not an elected official anymore, I am a resident. Okay, you serve all the residents of this town, and I'm asking you if you believe that sexually explicit commentary in the workplace is allowed, and should police officers...
Very inappropriate language, yes.
Councilwoman O, do you believe that sexually explicit commentary... Don't interrupt me.
You're asking me a question.
Let me finish my sentence.
And when I'm going to answer you, you're cutting me off.
No, you did the same thing last time with Mrs.
You know
Valari.
what? I'm going to also reserve my comments until later, and I just want to make one more comment. When someone from this side of the room comes up here and wants to have a dialogue, Mayor doesn't allow that. So I don't know why
Do you
he's
think it's
getting
appropriate,
special
do you think, I'm not
treatment.
getting, do you think it's appropriate,
You know what? You
given
can
the
see my
subject
comments
matter,
later.
okay? Do you,
She's not answering. Okay, let me...
do you think it's appropriate, I'm
okay,
talking
let me-
about sexual harassment, and you're comparing and playing
Ms.
politics
McMorro,
again.
that's fine.
Does Councilman Park have anything to say? Do you think it's appropriate for sexual commentary in the workplace or racist comments, Councilman Park?
This is absolutely, okay, this is absolutely cannot accept.
I can't hear, you're wrong.
Sorry.
This is really outrageous. Really, I am so disappointed our fellow council members have to investigate about this one. We cannot tolerate about this racial and the sexual comment. How come? We just a couple times we brought in these matters. They are keep continuing to deny about they don't know about it. They didn't listen about this point. But tonight, you already mentioned about the TV, what's going on in our town. And this is really, I'm so upset tonight. I listened to your comment. We cannot accept about it. Please, our fellow members, our council members, do right job for our resident, not for police chief and the police officer. That's period. Thank you.
Councilman Wu, do you think it's acceptable for racist comments or sexually explicit commentary in the workplace or sexual acts?
I think it's 100% inappropriate. It's very difficult as a Chinese American to hear the word chink. If anyone questions what a racist slur is, being called a chink, as a Chinese American, that's the definition of a racist comment. It's our responsibility to have a safe workplace. Immediate action should be taken based on our zero tolerance policy. We have to address them, have to address all of these things. Carol, again, thank you for your courage and bravery in coming forward. It's not easy. I've mentioned it before. I have a family with 2 young children. Anyone receiving a threat in the workplace, I just can't fathom that there's people that don't see this as an issue, or for that matter, comments need to be reserved. It's a yes or no question. Zero tolerance doesn't preclude jokes of any kind. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, thank you. Just stop, please. Please, let me just say this. As a matter of procedure, when I heard about these tapes early on in this year, excuse me. when I heard about these tapes earlier this year, and then I had the opportunity to listen to them because I'm a defendant in the lawsuit, I was surprised, that somebody could be that callous, that ignorant as to what America stands for, that he would record these things. And so what happens when people do things like this? The first thing they do is they hire their lawyers, the guy standing back there, and they try to put the toothpaste back in the tube. So all of you will never know what actually goes on. And this is how Mayor Parisi and his father governed this town for 42 years. You never knew. You never knew where the checks were going. You had no idea. Trust me. You had no clue what was happening. Nothing. Right? People were getting railroaded. Mike McMorrow was getting railroaded. Other officers. We had people suing the town. You never knew. I never knew. I have not found out. So this is what they try to do. Mr. Altieri and the other guys, they try to put the toothpaste back in the tube. You can never put toothpaste back in the tube, especially around me, because that toothpaste is going everywhere, okay? And you're reading it. So here we go. So then what we have is, I finally get the ability to free up these tapes. Stop. Excuse me. I finally get the ability to free up these tapes so you all can listen to them, right? Which drives them everybody even crazier. Oh my God! You mean the residents are actually going to hear what goes on back there in the police department? And by the way, I didn't even get to go back there, but the chief's own lawyer was able to go in through the private entrance in the back. It's like their town, right? They get to do whatever they want. I don't get to go back there. But Mr. Altieri, he's got the code to the door. I mean, he's going in the back door of the building, right? So then, here we are. He walks into the office there. We're sitting there in the caucus. How'd you get in here? It's like you don't own your own town, people. You gave it up. When Parisi was in power, he gave it to Chaffee. He gave it to Simons. He gave it to everybody. But now you have the opportunity, take it back. I asked the PBA when they were here, I invited them several times. Stand with me against racism. Stand with me against sexism. Stand with me against workplace violence. Nothing. They couldn't answer that. So, I always say you can't fix America without fixing these towns. You're living it, folks. We're fixing America because we're fixing this town, and we're going to get through this, okay? Thank you.
100 units.
I just want to thank the council for allowing me a little extra time, and Mayor and Ms. Rizzuto, I see the lawyers writing feverishly as I speak, and I hope I'm not going to be continually harassed for telling the truth. And I wanted to publicly say that because this has been non-stop harassment.
Thank you. Mr. Altieri's made himself a witness. So, anybody else wishing to be heard? Yes, sir.
Russell Perino, 220 Fairview Avenue. I'm not sure where to start. I'm going to start by thanking Carol McMorrow, first for her years of service to this borough. You folks sitting up there know what she does, what she's done over the past years that she's been involved in the borough of Englewood Cliffs. She's taken the borough on as her adopted child and turned it into a full-time job, putting a professional career aside to help manage this borough. I've tried to help her. I've worked with her both professionally and as a friend over the past few years. And I think everyone needs to understand the time that she's put in. I got up at this mic years ago when Michael McMorrow was suspended years ago for asking for an attorney to be present during a deposition. All right, so we want to talk about inequality and things that were done wrong, and I got up in support of the deputy chief at that time, and I stand behind him today as well. Getting back to Carol for a minute, she's worked nonstop, as you all know, on the affordable housing litigation. And again, I have to measure my words carefully, but one should look back over the past 40 years quite carefully to measure who did what. And when the same folks get up at each meeting making the same idiotic comments that the affordable housing is the result of the planning board's action this past year is beyond idiotic. It's clearly a political ploy. I understand that people over the Democratic operatives are knocking on people's doors, saying it's the planning board's fault and therefore Mayor Kranjak's fault. It's idiotic, and it's wrong, and it's dishonest. Stepping forward now to the question, I lived as a neighbor to Chief Chaffee and his family, and I don't have any bad words about him or his family as a person. What has come to light to this council, though, and to the members of this public more recently, is something that needs to be addressed. I spoke at the last, I guess 2 meetings ago about that it was black and white, and it's become so obvious to me that this board, this council, doesn't even have a choice anymore. In the military, I think they call it dereliction of duty. By not stepping up and doing what's right. This ship is going down, one way or the other. We've heard enough to know that that's the case. So when is this governing body going to step up and say, you know what, this has to be looked into? We're not asking you to judge the merits yet, but you cannot get all the facts, as was requested, I think, by one of the councilwomen at the last special meeting. You can't get 100% of the facts until you at least hire an independent person to look at and listen to these tapes, and to then come back to you with suggestions on how to handle it. I'm not saying I know what the answer is and what the right disciplinary action is, but clearly there's enough there for a reasonable person to say, we need to look at this. It befuddles me that there could be an attempt to kick this can down the road. That's gone, that's over. The ship's going down. Thank you. Yes.
Maria Valari, 45 Jane Drive. I've been left speechless by what I heard. I mean, I read what I read in the newspapers, but all this other information that Mrs. McMorrow presented to this body really scares me to my core, that we are allowing this to go on as if everything is a joke. I'm an Italian immigrant, and I've been called a guinea. And I was made fun of in school because I didn't speak English. And I think that we've come so far, and yet we haven't gone anywhere. For Miss O and Miss Park to sit here and reserve their decision on something that is so clear that in any court of law is proven with the person's own words that these gentlemen are being disparaged by the chief of police, the employees of this town, and the rest of the police department. I'm not saying that they are all guilty of this, because at some point, when your boss is speaking, sometimes some people who would like to speak up can't, because they're afraid for their jobs. And so what I'm saying is that there's a group that's really rotten here, and it needs to be dealt with, because as a resident of this town, it scares me. You had a whole police department put their seal, the police seal, to represent one party. What does that mean for me? I declared myself a Republican. I never knew that that was like a death sentence in this town. And it is. It really is. You are judged like no other simply because you're a conservative. What a disgrace. What has this country become? The more laws we put into effect, the more little things, oh, you can't do this, and then we find out this? This is worse than ever. Worse than when I was a child in this country. I don't think I heard the disgusting things that I heard tonight when there weren't any laws in place to protect people from language like that. Mr. Park here, by the way, Miss So, you said the Korean news is in the back. I hope that they're still here. Oh, I hope so, and I hope that they report that you sat quietly while this man, this wonderful human being, Mr. Park, is being spoken about in such a horrible way, in such racial tones and jokes. Mr. Wu, the most decent people I've ever met, these two gentlemen right here. Mr. Liang, how can you do that? That's like hearing Guinea all over again. When I hear Ching Chang and a clown, how could you sit there quietly and not ask for an independent somebody to look into this? Shame on you, Miss So. Shame on you, Miss Ellen Park, for your community, for your own people, because you don't represent me. And you don't stand up for your own. You can laugh all you want. I want to tell a gentleman here from Italy, wonderful. I was an immigrant as well. My parents were hard workers as well. That doesn't give me any right to anything other than what we personally accomplished in this country. Mr. De Gregorio, I sat here, I don't remember how many meetings ago, where you sat there with your child, and you kept pointing, and Mayor Kranjak, and in your loud voice, was saying, you see that man up there, son? That's a bad man. Shame on you. You're a bad dad for doing that. Thank you.
I have Michael Telzer, homeowner, 9 Churchill Road. I have a few things to say, and I just wanted to say to Carol McMorrow that I'm sorry she had to go through that, and Deputy McMorrow is a hero in many ways. I just want to turn around and say that. I didn't recognize him tonight, but and he's my hero, and I don't think anybody in this town has a bad word to say about him. I want to discuss what I assert and believe tonight, and I need both sides to be with me on this, and I think you will be. It's regarding your insurance company for the borough, and I'm asserting that I believe the following, and I believe there are several lawyers here on the council. The mayor's a lawyer, so my belief is that your insurance company, lawyers, one or the other, committed absolute and abject fraud. Okay? I've sent all of you a text tonight and a picture. And in case you don't have it, my film, if you Google my name, it is, not Google my name, you can just put my name to YouTube and you can reference things on my film. But what they've done, when they commit fraud, they're not working for you or the borough. If I have a tree that falls on my neighbor's property, and my insurance company takes pictures of the tree, and they doctor the pictures, and the tree only shows up on my property, they're not representing me, they're committing fraud. And regarding your insurance company, you don't, or the lawyers, you don't owe them anything, because I can easily prove they committed fraud, and they're not working for you. They raise your rates every time there's a lawsuit, okay? And I don't want you to take their side. I think you should take my side for many reasons. But I believe none of you have an ethical responsibility to take their side if they're committing fraud in the name of the town. The issues with the police department, they're not the deciders. You are. And I'm not talking about the other issues. If they commit fraud, they are creating a moral hazard. Whether or not you agree with the way, I'm talking to the Democrats, the way the mayor is doing things or not, I think generically we would all agree that if there's corruption in a town, generically, if the insurance company commits fraud to get cases thrown out, they are not serving the community. They're serving themselves. When you have an insurance company, you get the insurance company so that they can in turn pay settlements. And this is outrageous what was done. Now, I've submitted some evidence to you. I'd like to sit down with the mayor and council, privately, publicly, it doesn't matter to me. Take me a half an hour. From the very beginning 7 years ago, I have all the evidence. There's no question about it. This evidence has been doctored and this and that and every which way through the criminal trial. All right, forget about that now. Now your insurance company does the same thing that the police involved did. What the hell? And this is nothing personal. If I sound angry at any of you, it's not personal. What the hell is going on? They do the same thing as the police do? They doctor up the evidence? They digitally take a photograph and take the main feature of the photograph out? And that's just the start of it. What kind of people are these? What kind of animals are these? I want something done. I want all of you to be on my side because you don't owe them anything. They are acting in your name, they are acting in the borough's name, and I believe they are abject criminals. And I believe that somebody's going to get disbarred who works for them. I don't think they can get away with this. So I'm asking all of you to help me, and I'm imploring the lawyers on the council and Anne Marie. This is not normal, okay? So please consider that, and I want to get together with you, and I want it once and for all. Let's stop this madness. What is it going to take? Let me go back. So I get arrested falsely. I have all the evidence. I have the senior cop making it up on tape, okay? I have the pictures that didn't show up for a year. When they finally did, they didn't show up. Weren't given to the prosecutor. When they first showed up, they were darkened. The trial was delayed with the jury selection. We finally got the pictures. The tapes were doctored. But 6 years later, after 10 hours of deposition with your insurance company lawyers, what do? They submit to the judge 2 photographs, which is all there were, and they doctor them both. And no one in their right mind is going to think otherwise. I promise you, Mr. Versa, Ms. O, you know me, Ms. Park, you don't. I promise you, you will not think what they did was anything other than what I'm telling you. You have my word on that. I know the two of you, you're not crazy people. You will not think that. I want you on my side, okay? And Mayor Kranjak, please work with anybody who you can to settle this nonsense already. It's 7 years. I just want to remind you of a few other things. Chief Chiappi and his fraudulent 262 investigation on me. Does anybody know what that is? It's using the suicide hotline, pretending that I'm suicidal. I spoke at a meeting. Police Chiappi calls it suicide hotline, and he does a week-long investigation on me. He goes to my house, banging on my windows. I wasn't there because he thought I sounded depressed at a meeting. Do you know why he did that? Because at that meeting, I said I will be submitting my lawsuit soon. So, for years, there was a secret investigation. I mean, what are we, in the Soviet Union here? This is insanity. In the Deputy McMorrow lawsuit. And it's chilling. And I don't have the exact words with me. She tells Deputy McMorrow he should have thrown me up against a car? What the hell is going on? I don't live in this town anymore. I own a home here. My parents came here, my mother was an immigrant, by the way, in 1960. 58 years ago, and I'm sorry, I'm not angry, if I sound angry to you, it's not personal. She came here, she left Eastern Europe, she got the hell out of there, thank God, and I went to Northcliffe School. Look what they did to me. Please stop the madness. I'm done here.
So just so I could ask, I appreciate you coming in. I know it's painful, and I you know, you don't have to, like, recount it all. We will look into it. You were tried and found, you were acquitted, correct?
Yes.
On all counts.
Oh, yes.
I think that's important, since you're at the microphone, I think it's important that people know that. You were acquitted, and then you sued the town,
Yes,
for civilly,
yes.
and the town prevailed. And you're alleging that there was fraud conducted, from the top of the police department through the insurance company. Is that what you're saying?
Let me clarify that. Everything involving the arrest, everything, was fraudulent.
Okay.
That's not what I'm really...
Right, you were
focused on.
acquitted, right, I got that.
Right. What I'm focusing on is that the insurance company, I don't know what they do with the police or not at this point, but the insurance company committed the fraud, and they followed the lead of the police department, which had done their own thing. So for tonight, what I'm really discussing about is that your insurance company has committed abject fraud. There will be no doubt about it. So when...
And you're saying that because you're saying that photographs were doctored? Is that what you're saying?
That's what I know of so far, and they were clearly doctored. Okay? And I'm not just saying that. There's other evidence that corresponds to that, but yes, I'm saying that.
All right. So right now, we're litigating against you, so I'm not going to ask anything else. I just want to understand why you were here tonight.
You're litigating against me, but your insurance company is committing fraud, and they're doing so in your name and the borough's name. And by the way, with what's been going on in the news, and what's been going on with Carol McMorrow, I just want to say, women and children go through enough. We don't need crimes engineered. And that's one thing. But when you have your insurance company engineering a situation, they're creating panic among the women and children in Englewood Cliffs. And that's disgusting. Because we need to, if they think a crime was really committed because of what's on the internet, and I have the proof to show that it isn't there, well, then I have to say that who's suffering other than me? All of you, the town's reputation, and the citizens who are needlessly afraid. And I hope that we can all meet and do something soon. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else wishing to be heard? Okay, seeing and hearing no. Oh, yes.
I'm Mary O'Shea, 12 Irving Avenue. I sat here listening tonight. People think they lived here a long time because they live here 58 years. I'm 73, and I've lived here for 73 years. And before that, my grandparents moved here in 1924, and my grandfather used to take the ferry to go over and be a head waiter over in New York at Jansen's and Charles French Restaurant. My mother, her sister, and her brothers went through the Englewood Cliff school system. Bayview Avenue School was the only school. And then on to Fort Lee High School. I also went through the Bayview Avenue School and Fort Lee High School. I love Englewood Cliffs, and I've always participated in every way I could for the town, and with no motive of my own, no financial gain of my own, not to enhance my business, my career, or anything. I volunteered for the PTA. I was the hot dog lady in the school. I was the Arbor Day person that put all the little trees in plastic bags with dirt. I was a softball coach. I ran the Little League stand at Johnson Avenue Field for the benefit of the sports committee. What else? I was a crossing guard for 7 years on Floyd Street and then on Hammond Avenue in Irving. I was on the Board of Health. I was on the Board of Adjustment. I am on the Planning Board. I volunteered for the flu clinic. I do anything that I can to help the town. Okay, and what I've heard here tonight is absolutely disgraceful, and I really am pained by it. And I think part of the reason that the chief acts or has acted with such impunity with his comments is the fact that in his contract that he received from the Democrats, was an immunity clause, that if he got sued by anybody, the town would have to pay the fee. So when you give somebody a get-out-of-jail-free card, they're going to keep doing whatever they damn well please, because they're not going to be financially held responsible. So I think that was an error, a grave error, by the Palooza administration. I don't know if it was Joe Palooza Jr. or Joe Palooza Sr. I think it was Jr.
Did you say error?
I said error.
Oh, okay.
Error, E-R-R-O-R, I think. I'm not a good speller. I use spell check on my stuff. That contributed to the situation we have. And we've had many lawsuits against the chief. Robert Agresta was one. There was others, and I'm sure Lauren Eastwood could rattle them off from memory. I can't. But numerous lawsuits against the chief that were settled or dropped for one reason or another. Okay? You can't have somebody do what he has done. You can't have somebody say what he has said. And months and months ago, before I was aware of any of these actions, I had made a comment here, and a lot of the Democrats went, "Ah!" because I said it. But I felt that the head of the department sets the tone for all the people that work for him. And the chief's attitude, which showed through in some of these tapes, also reflects on the rest of the department in the at where they treat residents. And I remember the incident with Councilperson Park when he had a complaint from a Korean resident on Hollywood Avenue about the street being closed, and how rudely the police officer treated him. When he brought it to the council, he was attacked for bringing it forward. And Gloria O went around to the family of the young man and tried to change the story and change the dialogue. But that action that leads to, and I don't know which police officer it was, and I don't know the name of the resident, but it was when Hollywood Avenue was being paved. And that is a direct result of the attitude of the police chief. And I also said that I felt that threatening to kill somebody is not a joke. You know, they say many things are said in jest, but most of the time they're true. The same like when somebody's drunk and they make accusations. That's what's really on their mind. And for him to say that he wanted to kill Councilwoman McMorrow, that is something that he's been having on his mind. And for him to be in charge of this borough's safety and carrying a gun and having a huge gun. I remember when we came to the seniors, he showed us this big gun he got from surplus supplies from the government. I mean, I could just see this. He'd blow the whole place away. And it's terrible. It's just terrible. And we really need to have a hearing on this. Nobody is asking the council to make a decision on his actions. What's being asked of you is to appoint a hearing officer, so someone else can evaluate what has happened. Now, Councilwoman McMorrow, I know as a friend, and I know professionally, and she has worked tirelessly for this town with recreation, going to all the games, going to basketball, going to soccer, going to baseball. I had enough of that when my kids were in baseball. I couldn't be bothered going sitting up at the field watching somebody else's kids play, be honest with you. All right, she went and watched the game, she goes to the sign-up, she does the big thing at the holidays with the ice skating rink and the wagon and the sleigh and all that, the 5K run, okay, and when she was in her first term, she tried to have the street fair, and she got opposition from the Mayor Palooza, and the council, every step of the way. But she was trying to do something. They didn't allow her to accomplish anything that she could be proud of, because they wanted to knock her down. When she tried to get the information sign with the grant that's over by the ambulance corps driveway, that was criticized. She paid for the installation with her own money. Okay, she tries to do the right thing, and has always tried to do the right thing. And Councilman Evasive, and Park and Gloria, all of you combined haven't done 10% of work as a council person as she has. Okay? And it's terrible. It's terrible. You do not do what you're elected to do. Okay? All you're doing Ellen is suing the town for emails that are 3 years old or 2 years old, causing expenses, okay? You don't do anything. You haven't done anything. Gloria was in charge of budget when the Democrats were in charge, but then Joanna Coney did the whole thing for her, and she just read it off. She couldn't take it now to do it because she doesn't know how to do it, okay? So, people that do nothing resent somebody who did do something and did a lot. And for Councilwoman McMorrow to have to resign her seat because of these actions by the chief of police and because of the inaction from the 3 Democratic council people, it's a crime. It's a shame. It's a shame. And it really, really needs to be corrected. And I have a daughter and I have granddaughters, and the thought of those comments in the workplace, and for the women present to laugh at it, they should have said, like she said, stop. Okay, I've been in the presence of somebody that was making bad remarks, and you say stop, and you report it. Every one of those people in that room should have come to the administrator, whether it was Jamie or Steinel or whoever. They should have come and reported those actions, and they stood by and did nothing, and they are complicit in that whole thing also. Thank you.
Anybody else? Yes.
Hi, good evening. My name is Frances Caso. I reside at 17 West Bayview Avenue. Okay. So basically, what I would like to... sorry. Thanks, Mary. So basically, what I would like to say is that I wasn't raised in this town. I've been here since 2003. Senior Mayor Parisi actually married myself and my ex-husband, Dr. Fernando Guerrero, which I then divorced in 2011. I grew up in Fort Lee, but I know you, Mary. I used to hang out with your daughter, Virginia, and stuff, and Timmy and Sean, yeah, and your husband. So you're very well-known, and yes, you've done amazing, things. So you always worked. I remember your dog lady, too. So, the St. Bernard. It's sad because between here, Fort Lee, and other police departments and stuff, I went to school with all these people. I went to the Fort Lee schools, and then I went to, private schools. I went to, PC. And these towns, we all grew up together, between, the kids and, the parents and everything. And it's just, messed up, what's going on over here. Within the police department. I don't think the cops have anything to do with this, political, mumbo-jumbo. I think one person started it, and it's now, it's they're miserable. This town has one freaking cop, okay, doing South and North Cliffs, okay? Last Friday, I picked my daughter up from North Cliff School. She's 6 years old, my daughter Trinity, my only one, right? And here's this blonde cop or whatever, standing there, and I'm oh, it's nice to see a cop in uniform over here for once instead of the crossing guard. I go to him, oh, I'm the only one working the whole entire town here, South and North. I'm well, how the hell can that be? It's just messed up. I don't know. I think y'all could figure it out though. I think this thing is hyped up. What was done to Carol, that's totally inappropriate. If that was my mother, okay, I don't know. Honestly, I can't even really even be honest right now. Okay, me as a woman and as a mother. The shit that she had to go through. And, her husband there, I mean, it's messed up. That's some, real messed up stuff that woman had to go through. Okay? So, I don't know. I think we should all just, get along or, figure out how to get along. I mean, is it really that hard? What are we in grade school over here that we have to call somebody still a pizza face and make these little snickers and slurs and shit like that? What the hell does that shit make us look like? I mean, we're better than that. It's just like nuts. I mean, I don't know. Look, I get along with like everybody. Like, I don't care, Republican, Democrat, you believe in this, look, whatever works for you. Like, live your life, you know? At the end of the day, let's just like make it happen, but be pleasant about it. This nonsense has just gotta stop. But you're doing a great job, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
You know?
Anybody else wishing to be heard? Okay, can I have a motion to close the...
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So I just want to also say that, you know, at the municipal level, it really shouldn't matter if you're a Republican or a Democrat. We don't tax your income. Other people do that. We don't decide your social issues. Other people do that. So we want a council up here that works, that does its job. I've asked even Mayor Parisi earlier to join me in condemning workplace violence, sexism, and racism. I'm still open if you want to join me in that. You're not going to do that. Okay. So, look, we're trying to make America a better place. As I always said, I'll work with anyone who'll work with me. I know who'll work with me, I'll work with them. Okay. All right, so let's do the claims. The resolution 18-205, payment of claims September 13, 2018 through October 10, 2018, $2,105,355.55. Can I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Can I have a roll call, please?
Councilperson Zaversa?
Yes.
P. Park?
Yes.
O.
Yes.
M. Park?
Yes.
O.
Yes.
Resolution...
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion.
Yes, we recognize.
Excuse me, Mayor.
I'd like to make a motion to appoint
No.
Don Yee.
There's
So
nothing
moved.
This is exactly what we're talking about. This is exactly
Wait a minute.
why you
So
didn't
moved.
recognize
All right.
it.
A motion is made.
No.
Okay.
There was a motion and a
Mayor,
second.
I'd like to make a motion to appoint Don Yee to fill the vacancy on Borough Council.
Okay.
So
I'd like
moved.
to carry that motion to the
No.
special meeting on
That was
October 16th.
seconded.
I second that.
Yep.
The William moved it.
That's too...
No.
It trumps.
Let me explain why. It doesn't trump him.
Yes, it
All right.
does.
There was a motion. It was seconded. I asked for a roll call. You addressed the world. He addressed me, okay? It's different.
I
Under
tried to
Robert's
address
rules-
you. I tried to address you, Mayor, and
No, you addressed...
still not recognizing
You
me.
addressed...
This
the-
is what
the world.
happens at the meetings all the
I had
time.
to do a point of order.
No, we're taking a roll call on the carry.
Yeah.
I'm ordering you to do that right now.
No, you don't
There's a motion.
No.
You can't...
You can't order her. You cannot order her. That's right. You can't follow the Roberts rule. It's not according to Mario's rule. It's according to the Roberts rule.
I ordered a roll call before you chimed in.
Mayor, discussion?
No, I ordered a roll call.
And I'm asking for
There's
discussion,
no discussion.
as usual.
He moved, he seconded, I asked for a roll call.
And I'm
There was
asking
a
for
motion.
discussion.
And then you guys were doing other
I'm
things.
asking for discussion.
For discussion
Yes.
on the motion.
On his motion?
Yes.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, so he made a motion,
And it was seconded,
and I want to make a motion, not to dismiss his motion, but to carry his motion to the special meeting on October 16th.
no, you missed a
And
step.
that
You missed a step.
supersedes-
No, you missed a
No.
step. There was a motion, a
No.
second, and I asked for a roll call. You're at the voting stage right now.
Making
No, you have to vote.
No, we don't have to.
carry his motion. I'm not asking you to amend his motion, I'm not asking to change his motion. I am asking to carry his motion to the special meeting on October 16th.
You have-
As within my rights as a council
No, you don't.
person, as within my rights as a
Let me
council
explain,
person, and that's the way it works.
let me explain to the crowd, here, to the public here, what's happening.
Roberts rule.
So we have a vacancy on the council. We have a vacancy on the council as a result of former Councilwoman McMorrow's resignation. The way it works, she resigned on October 1st. The Republican County Committee has 15 days to put forward nominate three candidates to fill that vacancy.
30 days.
And that's because the councilwoman who resigned was nominated by the political party, so the political party actually owns that seat, so to speak. The Democrats on council, the opposing party, have the right to select one of those three names that are proffered as nominees. And that's tonight.
No, it's not.
No, let me finish. They have up to 30 days to do it. I put it on the agenda tonight. There has to be a vote tonight. Let me finish. There has to be, so basically, I don't want to see anyone disenfranchised in this town. Right now, we have a vacancy. We have the ability to fill that seat right now.
But there are protocols, Mayor, and rules to follow.
No, you're playing games, because you want a vacancy. So, what I want to do is...
Not all you want.
Procedurally, Councilman Wu made a motion to fill that seat. Councilman Park...
You know what?
Councilman Park seconded it. I asked for a roll call, and I want a roll call. There's no motion to carry.
You know what? We got reporters here.
Well, yeah, we do have reporters here, and I hope the reporters take a picture of you disenfranchising half this town, okay? Really?
You know what? There were too many times that you were incorrect.
You could vote.
Okay?
You could vote yes or no.
We had to take it to court to get it reversed. Emery. No, you have to give your... We're taking a vote on the carrying, not the appointment.
No, I'm asking to carry.
Will you take a motion, there's a second?
Before the second was there.
The roll call came first.
We're asking...
Perfectly within my right.
You could vote yes or no.
Emery?
Read it. It says it.
It says it on the rules. Why don't you tell me what rule you're talking about? Because
No.
a different rule says that when the motion is made and seconded, and a roll call is taken, and it's recognized by the chair, which your earlier motion, you did not have the floor. You also, I understand.
Ed Aversa just made a motion.
No, Ed Aversa asked for debate, and then he made another motion. That's what he did. He asked for debate, and then he made, whatever, it's called debate under, Robert's rules.
Discussion, I was recognized.
Yes, I understand.
You were also voting.
But you're not debating, you're making another motion to sidetrack the first motion. I don't get it. I understand.
Your discussion came when you have to be voted, yes, no, abstain, refuse. You need to do something. Lizette, take the vote.
Anne-Marie, can I proceed? Mayor, I want to protect myself and wait for Anne-Marie to advise me.
I want to put it on the record that I requested by email for 30 days, and that was denied.
There's nothing in the statute.
Yes, there is, so...
No.
Not a violation.
Why is she speaking from over there? She's not a
Take control of everything.
I'm ordering.
That's all I want.
Hey, you weren't on that list.
All right, can you guys clear the doorway, please?
Nominees list.
On
There's
advice,
seats up here if anybody wants to sit down.
on advice of council, I will be taking the vote.
As directed by the mayor.
Councilperson Zaversa,
What are we voting on?
Don Yee for
Appointment
council.
of council member to fill vacancy on borough council.
tonight.
Who is the name you put?
Don Yee.
Don Yee.
You don't get to talk, Miss Geiger. You can write all you want, but you don't get to talk from your seat, honey.
Yes.
What,
Read the rule where
what's
it
your
says
vote?
it doesn't supersede.
Mr.? Who said that? Who said that? Raise your hand if you said it.
You lied last time it came. Yes, you did. It's on tape. It's on tape.
All right.
You lied.
You need to leave. You need to leave. I see Chief Chaffee out there, but of course he's not doing anything.
By being rude to people.
Please remove them. Remove her and the person she's next to, and the woman in the back row. You're being removed, sir.
Why are we fighting against crime? Why are they doing this?
You know why? Because he sets the time.
What's the councilman vote?
He hasn't.
What's your vote? Yes or no?
Wait, we got...
No, Councilman Aversa.
I want her to read the part where it says it doesn't supersede.
It doesn't supersede.
Can you read the part?
Wait a minute. We're voting. The council already approved this.
Carry.
No, don't. You have to leave. You have to leave because you don't get to yell like that. And neither does Miss Fair in the back row.
No one gets to lie about me.
You get to leave now.
No, I don't.
I don't understand. Why are they doing that?
Why do you have to scream? Why? Why can't you just sit there like everybody else?
You never lie and yelling at the first room if you don't stop her.
Well, you can leave and talk about it outside because you can't, we're conducting business, sir. You need to leave. You have to respect this.
There's no need.
Councilman Aversa, how do you vote? Yes or no?
Waiting for the borough attorney.
She ordered a vote already.
She's still reading the book.
She said go ahead.
Whatever. Is that your legal opinion, Anne Marie?
What I'd like to
You
know
said...
is what rule are you relying upon?
Councilman
We
Aversa,
want to hear the part.
Carry under Robert's rules, so
Councilman Aversa, yes,
you're talking about.
yes or no?
Rule 37.
Yes or no, Councilman
Section
Aversa?
37.
Section
She said it,
37.
the borough attorney instructed the borough clerk to instruct you to vote yes or
I can't
no.
hear her.
Well, that's because your colleagues are yelling.
No, it's over you. So if you wait a minute and let her speak, I'm okay.
Section 37 is a motion to reconsider.
They're trying to make up rules.
Motion to carry.
Stop.
Let's go on with the vote.
Cameron.
There's a call on the vote, okay. No, that's fine. That's fine. Yes, I understand, you're taking the vote, you're starting to vote.
Councilman Aversa, yes or no?
I can't hear you. You said no.
Councilman Aversa said no.
Councilwoman Park.
No.
Councilwoman O.
No.
Councilman Park.
Yes.
Councilman Wu.
Yes.
Okay, so wait a minute, I'm speaking.
Okay.
So the thing here is, folks, you have to recognize that there's a vacancy. The three Democrats on council are leaving it vacant at the moment, because they're disenfranchising half of your town, okay? This is what they're doing. And this is what they stand for.
The last time we went to court, what you guys pulled...
You have ulterior motives, that's why. Not for the good of the town. Absolutely not.
All right, I'm recognizing you.
So I'd like to make a motion to carry the appointment to fill the vacancy to the special meeting on October 16th.
I second that.
No, the statute doesn't
I
provide for
second
that.
that motion.
The statute does not provide for that.
Oh, really? According to what rule?
We'd like to, I'd like to...
I control that agenda, not you.
It was actually sent to us.
I'd like to...
We have a special meeting.
Wait, I can't hear you. I cannot hear the council member.
So you'd rather create all this confusion than actually just put someone on council? Is that what you'd rather do?
Days to vet the appointees.
You're playing games, Mr. Aversa.
You
As always, you're gaming us.
understand that the qualification is age and residency, right?
So can I at least,
Okay.
that's my own thing? You don't have to, I don't even have to.
No,
I just
I
need you to tell
understand.
me the legal opinion.
Okay,
And that's not really
You've got a
warranted here. I got a motion
motion.
on the floor, it's been seconded.
Yeah,
That's it. It's not
take a
that
roll call.
complicated.
Take a roll call.
Well, let me just note for the record, the statute doesn't speak to rolling things out to a special meeting.
You know what?
And I control that
The
agenda.
borough attorney just gave you
No,
advice.
no, you know what? I control the special meeting agenda.
But there is a special meeting, and this can be...
The special meeting is not for this purpose.
Making a motion, we vote on...
You had an opportunity to do the right thing here, and once again, you didn't do the right thing.
You give me a chance.
I gave you a chance to vote Mr. Yee, and you took...
I think I'll prove my point to you if we just allow this motion to continue.
Your motion could continue, but it's useless and irrelevant because it's not valid.
We take a roll call.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion
Yes.
to nominate...
There's already a motion on the floor with the second, Councilman Wu.
We just went through this.
You can't do that.
Of course.
Take a roll call.
Went through this.
Clerk, take a roll call.
Motion to postpone.
We should have nominated one of the three, Mayor.
Yeah.
The statute says 30 days. The statute does not provide that you get 30 days.
Wait, I understand that.
Well, okay, Ellen doesn't seem to
All right, but it's
know.
okay, I'm not asking for that.
Okay.
I don't know what Councilwoman Park is...
I would just like one thing to go simply in this town, and that is to fill a vacancy. You guys you're disgraceful when you do this, okay? And just because you have to keep looking up in the back of the room to see what they're telling you to do, and Mayor Police is here to make sure you do it, or else...
Take a roll call. Take a roll call.
Why don't you guys be...
All right, you can finish the vote on, finish the vote.
Take a roll call. Okay, Eddie. Okay, all right. Okay.
So the vote is to
carry.
to carry to fill the vacancy, so I vote no.
We've already voted, there's already a vote on Yee, no.
We're on the next one.
Motion to carry
This is the motion to carry.
to the special
Mayor, I think...
October
Mayor,
16.
I think based on my initial motion, we should continue through and have the second candidate nominated. We have to issue all three vacancies candidates, and we have to fill. I think that the council seat should be filled. Carol worked 3 years on this council, and I think we should fill the seat immediately today. Yeah, we have to, yeah.
If you're at home and you're watching this, these people are...
Why would we not want this council
They're
to
taking
fill?
your voice away. They're putting you back in the shackles that you had for 42 years with nonsense. They're taking your vote away, guys.
All three candidates are here today. Yeah.
Wait, do you want to know more about the candidates?
They're all here today.
They're all here.
They're all here today.
We're going to recess.
You don't get to do that. You don't get to
You
do
can go meet
that.
all the candidates. You can go meet them. He's here, Mary's here.
We just took 3 votes already on this
All right,
side.
so are we done with the...
No. Yes, yeah. No, they gotta, yeah, they gotta go.
Out of recess.
Fine all day, Mario.
No, it's already, we're in the middle of
In the
the
middle of the
vote.
vote. Take the vote.
Councilman Park?
What? For what?
Motion to carry to,
October, the special meeting on October 6th.
No.
Okay.
Councilman Park? Oh, and Councilman Wu,
Okay.
sorry.
I'm abstaining.
Okay.
One of the issues that Councilman Aversa said and Councilwoman Ellen Park parroted, along with Councilwoman Gloria Earle parroting, he said that he didn't have an opportunity to look at and vet the candidates that we put forward, which I find comical, but...
I'd like to.
He'd like to. Okay, so I'm going to call for a half-hour recess. The three...
do that.
The three candidates are here.
Excuse me.
Will the three candidates please come up?
You know what?
Three candidates can come up and meet your your council people.
Mayor, point of order?
We're in recess.
Take a recess.
To nominate Mary O'Shea to fill the vacancy on Borough Council.
Second.
It's a moot point. I can say that he's a little bit too late. He can't.
Mayor Parisi, they can't see your hand signals from back there, so do you want to sit down? It might be easier for them to see you if you're here. They can't see your hand signals. Okay, so,
Yes, I made a motion to appoint Mary O'Shea to fill the vacancy on council.
Emery, you have to speak up.
Mark seconded it.
Yeah, I agree with second.
It's an improper motion according to the attorney.
Gonna ask us to rescind it, is what she said.
Yeah.
That's what he has to do, he's not doing it, if he does it, he can ask him, we'll vote on it too. That's
Yeah,
all.
hear that, well, it's not a problem. For once, she's on our side.
That's not on our side, it's on the right side. Let's do it, let's do it.
We did it already.
It's not a proper motion. The motion is not a proper motion.
Let's conduct the meeting, please, it's getting late.
Yeah, it's getting
I'd like to
late.
get home at some point.
We got a lot to do.
Emery.
What?
Councilman Wu, the motion to carry till next Tuesday has been made and the vote taken, and the two open nominees are now carried till Tuesday. You can,
We're in the middle of the resolution.
Yeah, we are middle of the application. Well, how can we...
excuse me, members of the public. The public portion is closed. The council needs to rely upon itself and upon me and upon this book. There isn't time, there isn't an opportunity for opening to the public for advice on procedure. I'm sorry. Councilman Wu, I believe you can make a motion to reconsider the prior motion that was just approved. You can't jump to the main motion. The main motion is what was on the agenda, fill the vacancy. It was superseded by the carrying motion. If you want to get back to the main motion, you have to make a motion to reconsider what they did.
I'll make a motion to reconsider.
And you need
So
a
moved.
second?
Yes, so move.
Second, not move, second.
Second, okay.
Okay, so now you can call a vote, and we know what the results is going to be because the Democrats don't want to take this vote now. That's right. But that's the way the Roberts Rules works. There can't be a jump to the main motion.
I believe the statute works differently, and we're violating that statute.
Well, I will just, what I am going to say to the council members, Aversa and Park, I know you realize this, that the statute is both permissive and mandatory. It is permissive in that it can happen anytime in the 30 days, but it must happen within the 30 days. Okay? So, being as you didn't postpone indefinitely, which is a motion under Robert's Rules, but rather you specified 4 days from now, that's an appropriate motion for the two candidates that have not been voted upon yet. And if I'm wrong, then some judge is going to tell me, and it won't be the first time, and Robert's Rules, I'm looking at what I can. I don't know this book by heart. I'm doing the best that I can. You weren't giving me any sight from before. but I'll just tell you that I believe your first motion made early in the meeting was wholly improper for 3 or 4 reasons under Robert's rules. You have 1 page. Mine goes to, Gloria, goes and refers to 3 or 4 different rules, okay? So, that, again, I'm just telling you from the beginning of the meeting that I believe you were an incorrect motion, 3 or 4. I believe your motion is correct now. The ye vote, you were voting no, sorry. That stands. Okay. Hold on. Okay, hold on. I have the statute here, and I'm going to read the statute. All right, because I know that there has to be a nomination of all 3 at the same time. I have it. Majority voted the remaining members.
Would you like me to ask Councilman Wu to reconsider his, or rescind his nomination? Okay, that's fine then. Then you get 2 choices. No, they're not. You put up 3 names, and that's the 3 names. You chose to do it your way. Now you won't name shot.
I just think that if this was the upper school student council, they would have figured this out.
Okay, so
But it's not, so we're having trouble.
this statute says, and it's 40A:16-11. The incumbent, when they are a nominee, when they were in the seat from a political party, that political party, no later than 15 days, gives the names of 3 nominees for the selection of the successor to fill the vacancy. It says nothing about requiring a vote on the 3 nominees all at once. I don't see anything in the statute about the following of voting procedures. In fact, it's silent. So what do? We have to look at what other governing documents we have for this body, like the bylaws, like the Roberts Rules. There's an ordinance that talks about vacancies in the council as well. This statute is silent on the voting procedures, okay? It says, the next sentence is, the governing body shall, that's the mandatory part, within 30 days, that's the permissive part, of the occurrence of the vacancy, appoint 1 of the nominees. They took a vote and turned down 1 nominee. I believe that's valid, and I believe that there are 2 nominees left to consider. Now, I don't want to say Democrat or Republican, but that's the order in which these things happen. I don't see, unless they rescind their motion to carry.
Where does the statute provide for a motion to carry?
It doesn't, but it also doesn't provide for requiring an immediate vote. It's silent on the voting.
No, but the voting is permitted. and that's what
Yes.
we're doing. There's nothing about carrying.
Yes.
So
But-
William could put somebody else on.
No, Mayor, he can't. They have a motion to carry. See, Mayor, listen, I can't twist and turn into preference. I can't. They did a motion to carry. It passed. That's because they had 3 votes. Okay? But he can't make that motion. There is something to stop it. First there is something. Wait a minute, listen to me. I am being entirely serious. They had a motion to carry in the past because they had 3 votes. It's effective less. They do it until the whole 100 Robert's rules. This statute is
following the law.
Okay,
I'm fully aware.
We're in the middle of the motion.
I will be taking the roll call for Councilman Wu's motion to reconsider motion to carry. Councilperson Zaversa?
No.
E. Park?
No.
O?
No.
You can make debate if you want to.
Point of order, yes, point of order. I just want to understand more about why we want to delay this process, other than a procedural, obviously, right now, the borough attorney's having difficulty finding, you know, what, in writing exactly which way forward, but I just want to hear, Ed, if you could let us know why we want to leave that seat unfilled.
I'd like to utilize my rights to choose the person that I think will fill the spot the best.
you had 3 days.
I have...
You had 3 days.
And I have...
You had a week.
Now I
You had
have
over a week.
4 more.
Mayor,
You had a week.
Mayor,
Your time and your...
You had a week.
Mayor,
You're disenfranchising much of this
I'm not asking
country.
for 30
Can I
days, I'm
speak?
asking for 4, that's it.
You're,
I'm allowed to...
you're disenfranchising many people.
That's it.
Well...
can I speak? I have a comment. Okay, so,
Well, he hasn't voted yet.
no, we're for discussion on
Go
this
ahead.
matter. So, Councilman Wu, I'd like to answer your question. By law, we're allotted 30 days, okay, to fill in that vacancy. We don't have to take a vote today, and I know 3 names were given. I know who they are, but I don't really know who they are. So I'd like to have an opportunity to, you know what, you don't,
I think by law, Anne Marie, can you clarify, are we able to carry in the middle of a nomination of the 3 candidates?
I don't think you can.
but she already gave her legal opinion?
The statute does not permit it.
Let's just be clear what I did. What I said was, the statute is silent on whether the 3 nominees must be considered all at once, or whether they can be separated.
If it's silent, I already went forward.
Answer.
If it's silent, I already went forward with the first nomination, and it was in motion already. So we should move to the second candidate.
Before your motion, next motion came, my friend, the motion was put to carry it to the 16th. That's where we're at.
Appreciate our friendship.
That's the law, that's what we're entitled to. We're not asking for anything other than to express our own decision. To pick one of the 3 candidates that you guys set forth. It's not...
You're actually not entitled to that. The only thing you're entitled to is to vote tonight at this regular meeting. That's all you're entitled to. That's all you're entitled to. And if you don't do it within 30 days, because we're not putting it on any other agendas in 30 days, then the other side gets to decide, okay?
That's
Find out on the 16th what you decide.
Well, I just think it's a terrible pity and shame that you're doing this to the town that you're supposed to be representing.
You have to have your opinion, Mario, and we respect your opinion, just like I hope...
You know, we could disagree.
Actually, I don't see any basis for your opinion, so I can't respect it.
Okay, just give me a few minutes, please.
Finish the vote?
Yes, finish this vote.
Councilman Wu?
Yes.
Okay, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to put this in recess until the borough attorney could research this, because it's too important to keep this. It may take a while. We're in recess. Okay, we're clear on what we need to do. We're going to continue down the agenda. Okay, 207, so this, I thought, in light of everything that we've heard, and I'm glad that the chief's attorneys are still standing there. This is Resolution 18-207, resolution affirming laws, policies, and codes against workplace violence, racism, hate speech, civil rights violations, violence against women, and discrimination. I'm going to read it. I think we all need to hear this. Whereas the Borough of Englewood Cliffs, in its personnel policies and procedures manual, 2008 as supplemented in 2010, and the Borough Code has previously established zero-tolerance policies against workplace violence, racism, hate speech, civil rights violations, violence against women, and discrimination of any kind. These are collectively the prohibited acts. And whereas various laws and the constitutions of the United States of America and the state of New Jersey also legislate against the prohibited acts. And whereas Chief of Police Michael Chaffee has surreptitiously recorded himself and many others, and the audio recordings record Chief Chaffee himself advocating and/or participating in actions and words that demonstrate his engagement in the prohibited acts. And whereas the governing body of Englewood Cliffs desires to emphasize, reaffirm, and reestablish existing laws and its policies and codes regarding the prohibited acts to protect the health, safety, and welfare of the borough's citizens, employees, and visitors. And now therefore be it resolved by the mayor and council of the Borough of Englewood Cliffs that it acknowledges existing laws against the prohibited acts and emphasizes, reaffirms, and reestablishes its zero-tolerance policies against workplace violence, racism, hate speech, civil rights violations, violence against women, and discrimination of any kind. Have a motion?
So moved.
Second. Give a roll call.
Point of discussion, Mayor Foster?
What would you like to discuss?
Well, I was hoping that you could add, because it's just violence against women, shouldn't it kind of be violence against anyone? And I'm not sure...
It's workplace violence. Workplace violence includes everyone.
But it's specific violence against women.
No, workplace violence.
No, there's a litany of offenses.
Yeah, I know that. Well, is it bad to add, and, anyone, or against...
Well, I think what brings us all here tonight is violence against women. And I'd like to keep that separate for now, because that's what we shouldn't dilute that.
Well, I've been assaulted, and I'm not a fan of I'm a fan of against anyone. I don't like...
Well, we have laws that do protect men as well, but the purpose of this resolution is to actually target and focus us on what brings us here tonight at such a late hour, discussing this still. And by the way, Jamie, you're free to leave. You've had a long day. It's fine. All right, thanks. All right.
And then the other point, Mayor, is it okay to name a specific person? Can we just put, whereas anyone has surreptitiously recorded?
Well, no one else has.
Well, we don't know that, right? We don't have any other tapes.
Well, if you know anyone else, then we'll do a separate one for them. But I think tonight is all about the chief and what he's done. And like I said, you can't put that toothpaste back in the tube. Try it sometime. It's impossible. And you can't put the genie back in the bottle. He did what he did, and people have made light of it in some respects, but I'm hearing from people all over town, this is what they want to see, and I want to deliver this to them. And if you want to do the right thing, pass this. If you want to do the wrong thing, reject it. Let's have a roll call.
Councilperson Zaversa?
I'll vote yes.
E. Park?
Yes.
O.
Yes.
N. Park?
Yes.
Woo?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Point of order, Mayor?
So many, yes, what now?
I know, I'm busy bee today. Well, you got a lot going on, and we had a lot of people speak, and I really, I'd like to propose a resolution, and I'd like to read it. So I'm going to make a motion for this resolution to pass.
Is that a resolution that you prepared before the meeting?
Kind of.
Did you share it with anyone on the council and the mayor?
He just amended your motion.
Yeah, I'm kind of amending your motion. Amending
Your resolution.
So I'd like to make a motion for this resolution.
Oh, I'm not following what you're saying. You prepared something, but you didn't share it with us before the meeting, as I share with you my resolutions. I don't have anything to read.
I guess you just listen. I know it's hard, but that's, you just listen.
Well, no, I'm just saying that as a matter of protocol, if you want to copy my resolutions, that's fine, let's circulate them beforehand, but go ahead, I'll listen.
Okay. So, whereas the mayor and council is the appropriate authority, having reviewed the letter of Mayor Mario Kranjak dated September 27, 2018, to the police chief Chaffee, and considered specifically paragraphs 4 and 5 of said letter, and where they are the opinion that the chief's actions cited on said tapes are not in the best interest of the borough of Englewood Cliffs. Now therefore be resolved that the appropriate authority hereby suspends Chief Michael Chaffee for 60 days, beginning October 11th, all of which will be without pay, will be taken from his accumulated vacation time. Be it further set forth that the interim captain, Brian Murphy, and Timothy Regan shall set in his place. And it is further resolved that unless the chief of police waives his rights concerning these charges, he shall be entitled to a hearing pursuant to NJSA 40A14-147.
Wait a minute, I gotta look at that. Has it
That's why they don't want to fill the seat, okay? And by the way, you're in violation of the Open Public Meetings Act. You read a new resolution that nobody's got, and you didn't open the public.
What do you mean? You do resolutions all the time.
So Ed, just in plain English, you're saying you want to suspend the chief for 60 days?
60 days.
Starting tomorrow?
Starting tomorrow,
Okay.
Without pay?
without pay. You use an accumulated 60 days.
With pay is accumulated.
Accumulated,
So this is not like something that you just did here, it's typed.
and I scribbled on it, and if you notice, all the blanks are filled in by me now, that's just the way it is. I think Mr. Wu was correct. I think we should take action now. I'm okay with that. If you don't like it, you don't have to vote it.
No, I just want to be sure, and I think that the council members should be given an opportunity to look and see if they might want to make amendments.
Okay, we can take a recess.
Okay, well, just give me that. Want me to say?
That's a resolution, doesn't have to go to it.
Can I make a motion to open to public?
Yeah.
Hold on a sec, we're in the middle of another motion.
I second the motion.
We'll do that. Okay.
All right, who's running the meeting? I know, really.
Sorry, excuse me. I know that Englewood Cliffs, in their agendas, they open to the public, or they try to advise all of you when we know in advance that we're adding resolutions. But I have represented many towns, and a governing body is allowed to add resolutions onto its agenda. They are, by law. So, you're all here, you all heard it just like we did. It's not a secret.
Want a copy of the resolution?
There is no law that requires we give you a copy of
It's
the
very
resolution.
detailed, I don't know, I can't keep it all in my head.
Okay, we're going to discuss this.
No, I didn't say any such motion. I said, just like before, when I asked you to amend.
They made a motion in a second to open to the public. I understand, but before we do that, let's understand what this resolution.
All right, I'm sorry, I understood that Councilman Aversa said he marked up mine.
No, never said that.
It's a completely different resolution.
It's not allowed.
I haven't seen it, it's been typed, so unless he's got a printer there, we didn't see him print this and type it.
It doesn't really matter. It's
And
there.
he didn't share it with any, and you know, he didn't,
Think about amend our resolution, his resolution, can you just amend that?
What resolution? My resolution?
No, the resolution that's on the agenda, everyone's complaining. We have a resolution to place the chief on leave in the packet. It's there already.
it's 211.
For pending charges. It's there already. Just add in what you say, 60 days, though I think I'm hearing, I think... 211, resolution. And you're saying without pay, understand that without pay,
I should have discussed this in closed. Okay, I understand.
We can't do this without having a public meeting. It would have been proper to, hold on, let me finish, without having shared this with people before. And for crying out loud, we've been here since 6:30 and no one shared it till now.
Well, they must have just got it after the lawyer. The lawyer probably just gave it to him.
I don't know. I don't know if the lawyer would have written it this poorly.
He had it in there.
Wouldn't surprise me, but he maybe
He
did.
did it in the chief's room before the meeting.
Okay.
Ed, where was it
Are we on
printed?
record?
Yeah, we are.
The record?
Ed, where was this printed? Where was this printed?
On my stuff, don't worry.
That was printed on his butt, he said, okay? That's what he said.
Bun.
That's what he said, okay?
So it was well prepared prior to tonight. You don't print it overnight over here. The lawyer was in there at 6:30.
Hold on. Okay. Okay, so
Very ulterior motives. Very ulterior motives. Well, there are reasons right there.
okay, hold on a second. Hold on. Hold on. Okay, listen to me. We're going to do, and I'm going to say, well, I'm saying, which may be extended by an hour.
Okay, so I already said Are we on this resolution now? Oh, no, he introduced it. Okay, you need to
Withdraw this, and then I'll amend 2011.
we don't need to,
No, we don't need to spend anymore.
they can withdraw that. Okay. So, after consultation among councilmen, if, the last motion that was made was by, the two councilwomen, to open to the public, please withdraw that motion, but there's no need to do that.
I withdraw that motion.
And I second.
And then Councilman Aversa.
Aye.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Okay, then Councilman Aversa,
He needs to withdraw his...
Yeah, I'm gonna rescind my,
just withdraw it.
withdraw my resolution.
Okay, so we are going to, we will wait until we get to 211, Resolution 211. We're going to adopt that with some amendments to it. So, but right now, we're on the Woody Field contract, 208, ladies and council members. I need my copy back. You took, I wrote on yours? Wait.
What? This one for
No, she hates changing her order.
Can you give me a council?
Resolution 208, authorizing action with respect to contract tennis and basketball courts. I need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
We did a slight amendment to add that the borough attorney, the borough administrator, and/or the borough engineer are gonna work together on that one.
Okay. Councilpersons Aversa?
Yes.
E. Park? Yes. O? Yes. M. Park?
Yes.
Whoa.
Yes.
Moving to 209, yes.
209, reappointment of Alan C. Roth Esquire as hearing officer. I need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Councilperson Zaversa?
Yes.
E. Park?
Just give me 1 sec. No, yeah, can you, because it's $7,500, so, let me just make it 15.
Yeah, I checked with our CFO. He's got to sign yet, but we think it's fine.
No, he approved it.
Okay.
You put the 7,500?
All the resolutions that, require funds have been approved by the CFO.
Okay, yes.
O? Yes. M. Park?
Yes.
Whoa.
Yes.
210?
210, appointment of Brian Cronick Esquire as hearing officer. I need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Councilperson Zaversa?
Yes.
E. Park? Yes. O? Yes. M. Park?
Yes.
Whoa.
Yes.
Right now,
Right, so 211, we've made some changes.
right, so call for the reading of the title, and then I'll make the change.
Right.
211, placing Chief Michael Chaffee at administrative leave with pay. Without pay.
Okay, so the resolution title will now read, Resolution imposing administrative leave without pay upon Police Chief Michael Chiaffi and reserving recoupment of salary. Yeah, we do for other things. No change until after now, therefore, the first paragraph, numbered 1, council members, will read now, administrative leave without pay is hereby imposed upon Chief of Police Michael Chiaffi, effective immediately, and extending for the entire time, extending for a period, continuous period of 120 days, that's the change there, and extending...
Which he could use, take from his accumulated...
No, that's dealt with in another paragraph, hold on. Paragraph number 1, members of the public, if you're reading along, it's the administrative leave will be without pay, it will be imposed immediately, and it will run for a continuous period of 120 days. You can see in the next the rest of that is crossed out. The second paragraph, number 2, allows the mayor and council to extend the administrative leave if need be. It's already in there, in other words. Number 3 provides for recoupment of salary, if appropriate, and use of the accumulated time. That has no change. So the change is administrative leave without pay for 120 days. Everything else...
120 extends beyond...
He can use his vacation, accumulated vacation time, the 120 days.
But that, I don't have to put that. We can do that through our benefits department. And we don't have to vote on that. That's a right that they already have.
Anne Marie, there's nothing to recoup, right? He's without pay. Originally, he was with pay.
Yes, but there are other matters that might represent a recoupment, earlier matters.
Okay, and 120 days goes beyond his retirement date, right?
Correct. That's the purpose of getting us beyond the retirement date. I am assuming, well, I guess I shouldn't speculate. Chief Chaffee has not yet put in his retirement papers, so he can do it at any time. The charges don't disappear because he puts in a retirement.
Make a motion?
Second?
Yeah, take the vote, roll call.
Okay, so Councilperson Zaversa?
Yes.
E. Park?
Yes.
O? Yes. M. Park?
Yes.
Whoa.
Yes.
Okay, passed. Officer Lee, please remove the weapons from Chief Chaffee.
No. No.
What?
Not Officer Lee. It has to be through
No.
the captain.
Someone needs to do it.
Well, hold on a second. It has to be through the captains. Okay, the next resolution is for an officer in charge, and I understand that there is, going to be a request for a change of the name. Ed?
We're doing Hill.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Lieutenant,
Resolution 212, appointment of an officer in charge for Englewood Cliffs Police Department. You wanted to make a change?
Oh, you want to just, say
It's gonna be Hill, right?
Lieutenant,
You're fine with Lieutenant Hill, right?
that's, okay.
propose that amendment. Just say Lieutenant David Hill, I propose the amendment.
It's going by his thing.
Okay, it's proposed. Do you have a motion?
Everyone understand?
Understand.
This resolution is amended to appoint Lieutenant David
Okay.
Hill as the officer
Wait,
in
are you
charge.
looking at Resolution 212?
Yeah,
Because it doesn't say, it says Captain Timothy Reed.
yeah, we're changing.
Is, Anne Marie,
Lieutenant David Hill.
who is the most senior ranking officer who does not have any charges?
Lieutenant David Hill is the most senior officer in the department. We have two captains. They presently have some charges arising out of the tapes. So the next one in line, based upon longevity, is Lieutenant David Hill.
Okay. And is that the reason for the change?
That's right.
That's the recommendation, yeah?
Thank you.
Need a motion?
So moved. Second.
Councilperson Zaversa?
Yes.
E. Park?
Yes.
O? Yes. M. Park?
Yes.
Whoa.
Yes.
Okay. We have to work with the captains and Lieutenant Hill.
Do I do that now?
No, what I
Can I
would like
continue,
to... I would like you to just invite you to the
Okay. Yeah, I'm not doing it. Just have to. Officer Lee?
Okay, not this minute. 1 second.
I'm not ready to say it, we're in the middle of the meeting.
Okay. Can we fly through the rest of this now?
Yes, let's do
Yes.
213, please.
Resolution 213, authorizing increase in not to exceed amount for special counsel Eric Bernstein. I need a motion.
So moved. Second.
Councilperson Zaversa?
Yes.
E. Park?
Yes.
O? Yes. M. Park?
Yes.
Woo.
Yes.
214, authorize clerk to advertise for DPW laborer.
So moved.
Second.
Councilperson Zaversa?
Yes.
E. Park?
Yes.
O?
Yes.
M. Park?
Yes.
Whoa.
Yes.
Resolution 215, reject bid for lead pickup and transportation. Need a motion?
Second.
Councilperson Zaversa?
Yes.
E. Park?
Yes.
O.
Yes.
M. Park?
Yes.
Whoa.
Yes.
216, authorized motor vehicle auction services with Bergen County.
So moved.
Second.
Councilperson Zaversa?
Yes.
E. Park?
Yes.
O.
Yes.
M. Park?
Yes.
Whoa.
Yes.
217, award 2018 NJDOT roadway improvement projects, Irving Avenue.
So moved.
Second.
Councilperson Zaversa? E. Park? O.
Yes.
M. Park?
Yes.
Whoa.
Yes.
218, award administration contract to Mazer Consulting PA for 2018 NJDOT roadway project.
So moved. Second.
Councilperson Zaversa?
Yes.
E. Park?
Yes.
O. O?
Yes.
M. Park?
Yes.
Whoa.
Yes.
219, authorized tax appeal block 130, lot 23.
So moved. Second.
Councilperson Zaversa?
Yes.
E. Park?
Yes.
O.
Recuse?
Oh, I'm sorry. Recuse? M. Park?
Yes.
Whoa.
Yes.
220?
Who recused? I gotta keep track.
I did.
I have it. I have it on the...
Okay.
220, transfer liquor license 021633007011.
So moved. Second.
Wait, discussion? Who's the applicant on the transfer of liquor license?
It's the central kitchen?
Central Kitchen going to Brownstone?
Councilperson Zaversa?
Yes.
E. Park?
Yes.
O.
Yes.
M. Park?
Yes.
Whoa.
Yes.
Point of order, Mayor?
Point of order?
Point of order, Mayor? I'd like to make a motion to dismiss any charges against Chief Choppy so we can wrap that up and not have any more legal bills or fees or anything else to do with it.
No,
Well, here's the thing, there's charges pending, and you're a deliberative body, so you actually need to hear facts and law, and a recommendation from a hearing officer that we just appointed. So you can't just dismiss charges, because then you're very derelict, and actually, at that point...
Second.
You can't do it. It's not on the, we're not taking a vote.
I told you, excuse me. I told you before that motions to dismiss the charges without having considered appropriate evidence and all that other stuff are just, it's just a way.
I see Ms. Norton out there waving her hands at you, Ed.
Okay, thank you, we don't need any more interruptions. Ed, I'm sorry, it's an improper motion. It's an improper motion, you can't do it.
That's improper.
Why is it improper?
Well, because you need to hear the
Because
deliberation.
you are making a decision when you have a council member deliberately not here, okay? I understand what you want to do, it is not proper. The borough needs to take responsibility for the things that they have done. I'm just,
So you're...
sorry, I'm not going to allow.
You're going to create more liability against the borough.
No, there's liability already.
Well, it's not funny, but you're going to create more liability against the borough by dismissing these charges.
Against the borough by who? There's already a law.
You don't have the right to do that.
Yeah, we have a right.
It's not, listen, let's just hear me out. It's not much different than what we did for, one of the captains, the Lieutenant Bureau. None of us agreed with that settlement. Excuse me. We spent thousands and thousands of dollars on that hearing officer, which this council refused to listen to. So, I said this before, I'm saying it again, I'm done spending money. I think it's wrong what happened, I'd like to move on, I'd like to save the taxpayer dollars. Everybody in this council, not one person agreed with that settlement that we made, yet we all voted for it because it was in the best interest to wrap it up and get it done for the town. Every one of us.
I think all these situations are very different from each other. We never had something so egregious as this. So why don't we do this? Let's yeah, I mean, we can't do that. No, but it's an improper motion.
I did call Jeff,
We're not taking it.
and I'm expecting a phone call from them.
You called Jif, like Jiffy Pop, or Jif? Like, who'd you call?
I actually called the risk manager.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Right.
And you told them all the facts?
Who said I'm not authorized? Really?
All right. Look, it's been a long, so, just hold on a second.
I wanted some clarity as to what is going on,
So the way,
right?
yeah, guys, it's been a very, very long day. I like to end meetings on the same day they began, and we're bumping up.
Wait, so 120 days? 120 days?
I'm not looking at Robert's rules. I believe it's an improper motion on many levels.
Officer Lee, can the audience just stop?
I just...
Can we adjourn?
Mayor, motion to adjourn the meeting.
We're not done. We have old business and new business. No, you cannot adjourn, Mayor. We have on the agenda old and new business. We have There's a motion and a second, and you're refusing to take a vote?
No, we're not voting. We're not voting on it.
Improper motion.
We're not voting on an improper motion, okay?
Okay,
All
well...
right? Everything's gonna get sorted out, I promise you. It's gonna take a little time.
Wait, the meeting's not adjourned. Yeah, we're not...
We have a motion to adjourn pending.
What do you mean, there's...
All in favor? Aye.
Well, there's old business and new business. I have something to say, and committee report. We're not done yet. No, I actually, excuse me, Bill, Councilman Wu, I have something to say to you. I think the hypocrisy that you talk about saying non-disparaging things to people is pretty ridiculous, okay? And I'm going to call you out on it because you and your wife attacked me and Korean people on this WeChat group of 91, and you know what? You don't think that
Chat group, that's what we're talking about here?
I'm getting this out to the press.
I'm done,
Fine. All right, that's fine.
Motion to adjourn.
He talked really badly about Korean people in this town. He tried to divide Taiwanese and Chinese.